A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio. A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hey, Ethelbert.
Oh, hello, Casey.
What's Tony Marvin worrying about over there?
Why, he's writing a holiday poem, and he's stuck for something to rhyme with Christmas stocking.
But, Ethelbert, are you kidding?
Certainly not. Oh, you mean Anchor Hocking.
Oh, gee, fellas, that's wonderful. Anchor Hocking, a great name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole. Our adventure for tonight, Christmas shopping. Late afternoon, a crowded aisle in one of our city's largest department stores. Making slow headway through the jostling shoppers are...
Casey, I've never seen the store so crowded.
We say that every year during the week before Christmas, Annie. Where are you taking me now, huh?
Well, you haven't anything for your Aunt Harriet yet, so I thought we'd look at umbrellas there. On this side of the store somewhere.
Yeah. Annie, look, you can pick up a much nicer umbrella for Aunt Harriet than I can. I trust your judgment, absolutely, Annie. So suppose
I shop for all the uninteresting items while you go up to the toy department and watch the electric trains again.
Well, you know I've still got to pick up a few more things for my sister's kids, Annie. And hey, Annie, wait a minute. Hang on to your pocketbook. Keep an eye on that little guy in the black overcoat just ahead of us.
Who?
That's Fingers Fogarty. One of the best-known dips in the city.
Pickpocket?
Yep. Shove through this mob a little faster, Annie. Now, keep him in sight. I think he's closing in on a prospect.
You mean he's made up his mind about whose pocket he's going to pick?
Sure. Smart dips like Fingers don't dive into just anybody's pocket. They hang around bars and wait for some guy to flash a roll, and they tail him. If he gets into a crowd like this... Look, Fogarty's doing his stuff now, Annie.
No.
Yeah. That big fat guy he just bumped into. Fingers took a wallet from his inside pocket.
Well, I didn't see him.
Neither did the fat guy. Fingers is a smooth worker. Come on. He'll feel very badly when we stop his special brand of Christmas shopping, but pocket picking is considered antisocial. I've got to get Mr. Fogarty.
Well, he squeezed through the crowd. I can't see him anymore.
Neither can I.
Look, Casey, yell out for somebody to stop him.
Oh, well, I yell, stop thief.
Well, you can't let him get away.
He won't get away. Every cop in this precinct knows Fingers. He'll be picked up quick after a charge is brought against him. I'll help that guy who lost his wallet bring the charge.
Yes, if you appear as a witness.
I will.
Where's the fat man?
Excuse me, mister.
Huh?
Something happened to you a minute ago that I don't think you know about.
What do you mean?
Your pocket was picked.
My pocket?
Yeah. A little guy bumped into you, and as he did, I saw his hand go into your inside pocket and come out with a wallet. Well, I happen to know who he is, and when you report your loss to the cops, I'll be glad.
You're mistaken, mister. I didn't lose my wallet.
Huh? I'm sure.
I'm more sure.
I tell you, I saw him.
When a guy sees something that couldn't be seen, he's either goofy or drunk. On your way, fella.
Well, I'll be...
Good thing you didn't get your hands on Fingers Fogarty.
What
He could have plastered you with a nice suit for false arrest.
And I know he took a wallet from that fat guy's pocket. I was watching every move that Fingers made.
Well, I was watching him, too, and I didn't see him take anything. And that fat man says he didn't lose a wallet, so...
Okay, I'm goofy or drunk.
Or maybe you only need glasses.
Well, I do after this. Several glasses. Let's head for the Blue Note.
Casey get your Christmas shopping done this afternoon, Miss Williams?
Well, I accomplished quite a lot, Ethelbert, but not Casey. He got sore, and after that, nothing would please him.
What'd you get sore about, pal?
Nothing.
Oh, he had a little eye trouble.
Oh, gee, that's too bad. Did you see spots floating in front of you, Casey?
My eyes are okay. Now, fill that glass up again, Ethelbert, and don't ask so many silly
right.
questions.
Mine too, Ethelbert.
Right away, Miss Williams.
Oh, now, Casey, don't you think it's about time you snapped out of your grouch?
Well,
It's pretty silly to get yourself all burned up just because you made a mistake.
I didn't make a mistake, Annie. Fingers Fogarty took a wallet from that fat guy's pocket. What burns me up is I didn't find out why the fat guy denied it.
Well, how could you have found out?
Oh, I don't know. But I'm supposed to be a newspaper guy, Annie. Well, we may have missed a story with pictures.
Here's your refreshment, folks.
Oh, thanks, Ethelbert.
Say, have you stopped into your office since you finished shopping?
Hey, bartender, who's the boss here?
Well, what do you want?
You want to buy a nice Christmas tree?
You got some nice ones?
A wagon full of them, fresh from Nova Scotia.
Let's see one.
Well, I'll be right back.
Say, Casey, have you two stopped in at your office since you finished your shopping?
Certainly not. This is our day off.
Then you ain't heard the big news yet.
What? Big news.
One of your police reporters, Jake Birkin, was in a few minutes ago and tipped me off about it. Gee, was all excited.
What happened, Ethelbert?
About half an hour ago, the cops arrested the kidnapper and murderer of Gregory Walters.
They did?
Where?
Well, where'd they get him?
Well, like you know, before the Walters family paid over that $50,000 ransom to the kidnapper,
Yeah.
the FBI made a list of the serial numbers on the bills,
Yeah.
which they circulated all over the country.
Of course, we know all that, Ethelbert.
How's this tree, mister? Nice and bushy, huh?
Let's see one a little taller.
Look for, okay.
Ethelbert, will you tell us about that kidnapper?
Well, I'm getting to
Well,
it.
come on.
Well, a guy walks into a tavern over on 36th Street tonight,
Yeah.
orders a drink, and hands a barkeep a $20 bill with one of them hot numbers on it. The barkeep checks the number, calls a cop, and when the cop searched the guy, he found about $500 more of the ransom dough in his pocket.
Well, Ethelbert, who is the guy who had the ransom dough? The cops identified him
Well,
yet?
they knew him as soon as they laid eyes on
But,
him.
Ethelbert, who is he? Please.
Hey. Is this tree big enough, mister?
Let's see. Well, let's see one a little thicker around the bottom.
Thicker around the bottom.
Ethelbert, will you please
Casey
tell
and
us?
I know him. He's always been a small-time crook, and I was surprised to learn he was mixed up with anything so big as kidnapping and murder.
Oh, say, will you tell him?
I am telling you. It's that little runt, Fingers Fogarty.
Fingers Fogarty.
Yeah, the tip.
He had Walter's ransom dough on him?
About $500, just like I said. Naturally, Fingers denies having anything to do with the kidnapping. He said he lifted the dough out of the pocket of a guy who was Christmas shopping in S.J. Franken's department store.
Franken's?
Around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Casey Franklin.
And that fat guy denied he's been robbed.
Do you think he was the
Well, I
one?
can't see Fingers as a kidnapper. He's always been just a slimy little sneak
Hey,
thief.
what's this about a fat guy, Casey?
Annie, come on. We're going to tell Logan what happened in Franklin's.
Well, what did happen,
Well, never mind.
Casey?
You'll hear it later, Ethelbert. So long.
So long.
Hey, is this one big enough for you, mister?
I tell them two a whole complete news story in 2 short words, then they run off and leave me out on a limb.
What limb? Too big?
Oh, you?
Ah.
Oh, no, we've got to have a really big tree.
You think Fingers Fogarty may be just a victim of circumstances, Casey. Circumstances peculiar to his profession.
Miss Williams and I have told you what happened, Logan. You can add it up.
Captain, have you got anything on Fogarty outside of the $500 found in his pocket?
Not yet, Miss Williams. The joint he lives in is being searched, but we don't think he was chump enough to hide the rest of his ransom money there.
If he lifted the 5 C's from that fat guy, he has no rest of the dough to hide.
Now, look, Casey. Fingers Fogarty knows you pretty well, doesn't he?
Yeah, sure, he knows me, certainly.
Now, hasn't it occurred to you that he may have put on an act for your benefit?
I don't get you.
Now, let's assume that Fingers is the real kidnapper. It's been over a year since the ransom money was paid. Fingers has been careful. He hasn't tried to pass any of the 50 grand because he knows it's red hot. But now he figures the heat has died down, so he sends up a trial balloon.
How do you mean trial balloon?
Well, he's got a record as a tip, Miss Williams. He figures if he gets caught passing that dough, we'll believe that he lifted the money from a guy's pocket. And to cinch it, he acts like he's lifting it from a guy's pocket while Casey is watching him. He picked you for his star witness, pal.
Logan,
Huh?
hasn't it occurred to you that the fat guy might have been sending up that trial balloon.
Huh? What do you mean?
Assume the fat guy's the real kidnapper. And he wants to know how safe it is to pass those ransom bills. He knows that Fingers is a pickpocket. Well, he goes to one of the little runt's hangouts and flashes a roll in front of him. And then he leaves the joint, saunters into a crowded store where it'll be easy for Fingers to work, and Fingers does exactly what's expected of him.
That's a reasonable theory, Captain.
Well, sure. If Fingers gets caught passing that dough, the kidnapper learns about it from the papers and continues to let the money cool off. Also, Fingers has a long record. You cops won't believe anything he tells you. You'll tag him as the Walters kidnapper, which will leave the real one sitting pretty. The only thing the real kidnapper didn't figure was that someone might see Fingers take his wallet.
Well, maybe you got something there, Casey. You and Miss Williams have never seen that fat guy before?
Mm-hmm. No, but we'll know him if we see him again, though.
Definitely.
Your description might fit 1,000 guys in this town. I want you two to go up to the record room and look at some pictures we've got in the file.
Oh, great. That'll only take us about 4 or 5 hours, though.
Oh, Casey. And this was to have been our night off.
Perhaps you'll forgive this last-minute reminder, but there are now exactly 4 more shopping days until Christmas. That means a very real problem to those of us who like to put things off, as who doesn't? Is there anyone you've overlooked? Anyone to whom you want to give something beautiful, practical, and inexpensive? Well, you'll find the answer in Fire King oven glass. Whether it's a single Fire King casserole or an entire set of Fire King oven glass, prices are unbelievably low, and it'll take a minimum of shopping time at your favorite chain, variety, hardware, or department store. So remember, with housekeeping a real problem in this post-war era, Fire King oven glass is a gift that makes it easier in so many ways, because Fire King makes foods go farther and enables you to turn leftovers into delicious main courses. Fire King oven glass is a product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
Oh, I don't recognize any picture here, Logan.
Oh, me either. Oh, golly. Captain, why don't you have some good-looking crooks in your files? I'm going to have nightmares looking at pictures of so many ugly men.
You should see the women.
Logan, you know, there's one picture here that bothers me. It resembles the guy a lot, but well, look at the description that goes with it.
Nick Pensa, Woolstock Prison, discharged 1944, armed robbery. Age 30, height 5 feet. Well, you said your fat guy was a 6-footer and at least 45 years old.
Yeah. He weighed a good 250 plus, too. This Nick Pence's weight has given us only 135.
Well, they can't be the same man, then.
No, not a chance. Funny, though, there is a resemblance.
We need more than that. Let's all go home and get some sleep.
Me for that.
Me, too. I'm so tired I can't think.
I'm falling over. I'll murder anybody who wakes me up before noon tomorrow. Oh, no, thank you. No, thanks. Oh. Hello.
Morning, Annie.
Who's this?
Wake up, kid. It's Casey.
Casey. Oh, Casey.
Casey, you remember me, don't you?
Yes, I do, and it's only 9 o'clock, and what is the big idea?
Annie, look. I think I know where to look for that fat guy.
You do?
I certainly do. The old bean wasn't working last night. But when I woke up a few minutes ago, I had it. The strong resemblance between that young half-pint crook, Nick Pensa, and our big, fat, 45-year-old guy can't be just coincidental, Annie. They must be relatives, maybe brothers.
Mm-hmm. Go
on. Well,
on.
I've looked in the phone book and found only one Pensa listed, John Pensa, contractor, who lives and does business out on Dudley Road. I thought you might like to drive out there with me and see what John Pensa looks like.
Why don't you have the cops go out and look at him?
But, Annie, you're not awake yet. Only you and I can identify that fat guy. Besides, if you and I find him, Annie, we get an exclusive. The cops are in on it, every paper and towel.
Well, I'm awake now, all right. Where'll I meet you?
I'll be outside your door with a car in 15 minutes.
Casey, I've got to dress.
We'll make it a half an hour then.
We'll make it a full hour and no sooner.
Well, what are you going to dress, yourself or a Christmas tree? Listen, Annie, I can bathe, shave, and get into my clothes in 10 minutes.
I put on underwear. Goodbye.
We're getting close to that address, Annie.
Yeah. This isn't a very attractive neighborhood.
No. John Pence, a contractor, can't be much of a concern.
And John Pence, a contractor, may be no relation whatever to the Nick Pencer in the police files.
The name's very unusual, Ann. I have a hunch.
Uh-oh. There's the place.
Yeah. I'll stop here so we can look the joint over.
Well, there's a concrete garage attached to the house with a good-sized truck inside and room for another.
Concrete mixer in the workyard.
Oh, Casey, established businessmen don't go in for kidnapping. I think we're on a wild goose chase.
Annie, that guy coming out of the garage.
What about him? He's just a skinny little...
Annie, you need glasses and a more photographic memory.
He's the man of that police picture.
Of course, Nick Pencer. Now I know my hunch was right.
He's looking over here.
Well, he's never seen us before, but I'll get rolling anyway.
Now, how can you find out if he has a fat brother?
Well, drop into one of these neighborhood stores and make a few inquiries.
Then what?
Well, how can I tell until I find out what I hope to find out? Annie, you're the darndest girl for asking questions. You really are. Now, let's stop there. Well, we'll stop here. We'll go into this little drugstore right here. The druggist usually knows everybody in the neighborhood. Come on.
Okay, but I think it would be simpler and more sensible to make inquiries at the precinct police station.
I don't want the cops in on this until we know where we stand. Here, let me do the talking.
It's your party, wise guy. You handle everything.
What can I do for you young people?
Hello, Pop. We're going to have, what kind of ice cream soda do you want, Annie?
If I must have an ice cream soda, chocolate.
Chocolate. Same for me.
2 chocolate sodas.
That's right. By the way, I'm looking for a party in this neighborhood by the name of Pencer. I imagine you know the family well.
Pencer?
Yeah.
Never heard the name before.
You never heard of it?
Change my order to raspberry.
Yes, miss. 1 raspberry. I'm just a stranger here. Come down from upstate to handle this place while my son's away hunting. Maybe my granddaughter can tell you what you want to know. Say, Katie.
Yes, Grandpa?
Come here. Fella's looking for a party by the name of Penner.
Penner?
No, not Penner. Pencer.
Oh, I know the Pencers. All of them.
You do? That's swell. Eh?
Mr. Pence lives down the street.
Uh-huh.
Over his office. He's a contractor.
What's he look like? Is he,
He's Mr. Pence is short and skinny, and his first name's Nick.
well, Nick Pencer's not the contract.
Yes, he is. Ever since he got out of prison a couple of years ago.
You say somebody's gone to prison, Katie?
No, Grandpa. They've come out.
That serves him right, then.
The man's reformed now.
Oh, that's bad, very bad.
Grandpa's a little deaf.
Yeah, I can see that. Sister, I understand that my friend, Nick, has a brother or a cousin.
No.
Maybe an uncle?
No.
Here's the sodas. Who gets your raspberry?
He does.
Here you are, mister.
Thanks.
And Mr. Casey, you have earned it.
Sister, you mean Mr. Nick Pencer has no relatives at all?
He's got a sister and a nephew.
Oh, that's a great help.
How old's the nephew? About 10?
No, ma'am. It's the funniest thing. Mr. Gus Pence is a lot older than his uncle.
Huh?
Mr. Gus is Mr. Nick's partner, I think. And he comes in here all the time.
What does Mr. Gus Pencer look like?
Well, he's tall and fat, and in the face he looks like Mr. Nick.
Annie, give me that chocolate. You take the raspberry.
Here's Mr. Gus now.
Oh, Casey.
He's our fat guy.
Mr. Gus, these people were just asking about you. They're friends of Mr. Nick.
Oh, that's bad.
Is that so?
He recognizes us, Casey.
Yeah.
Wasn't it lucky I dropped in here when I did to find friends of Nick's? Grandpa, go back to your back room and put me up 2 bits worth of turpentine.
2 bits worth of turpentine?
Go along and help him, Sissy. He can never find anything.
I'll show him, Mr. Gus.
You two were asking about me.
You've been told that we were.
I noticed a car outside with a press sign on it. Yours?
Yeah.
And you were looking for me because of what you happened to see in Franken's yesterday.
If I said no, you wouldn't believe me.
Right. This hand in my pocket has a gun in it, mister. So do exactly as I tell you.
Okay.
Remember, and don't pull anything.
Here's a bottle of terps.
Thanks, Grandpa. Here's your 2 bits.
Come on with me, folks. You said you wanted to pay Nick a visit.
Casey.
We got no choice, Annie.
Right. So long, Grandpa.
Say, ain't you folks going to finish your sodas?
No, we lost our appetites.
You didn't take even a sip of your raspberry, mister.
That's what you think, sister.
Get into your car. Both in the front seat. You drive, fella. I'll sit in back with this gap.
Well, I drive, too.
Just down the street to Nick's place. Mine. He and I are partners in everything. And he'll be tickled to see old friend. Turn into the workout and park in our garage. And next to the truck there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now what do we do?
You and your boyfriend don't do anything, lady. And to make sure you don't...
You hit Casey with your gun.
And you get the shape. That'll keep the two of you quiet for a while. Nick!
Yeah? What do you want, Gus?
Come into the garage, quick.
Okay. Whose car you got in there?
You'll see. Come inside and help me close these doors.
Okay. There. What's the idea?
Take a look inside this car.
Who's the guy and the dame?
They're the two I told you about last night. Saw that dip take the hot dough from my pocket. They got wise to the layout and located us.
They police?
No. These two are newspaper mugs. I figure they were making this play on their own, so we got to take care of them.
We can't bump them off here.
We can. We do it nice, clean, and quiet. Get those big spools of adhesive tape from the house.
What are you going to do?
You'll see. Get that tape.
Yeah. Got the gal all tied up, Gus.
Then help me with this guy.
Yeah.
Wrap some more tape around his ankles.
Okay. Yeah. There. He's fixed now and solid.
All right. Now climb into that truck and start the motor, Nick.
Oh, the carbon monoxide treatment, huh?
Yeah. Nice, clean, and quiet. You just lock them in this closed garage to breathe the gas. Tonight when it's dark, we get rid of their bodies in their car. Start the motor.
Ann, I worked the tape off my mouth against that fender. Nod your head if you're okay, kid. Good. I'm going to try to pull the adhesive tape off your wrists with my teeth. I'm getting lightheaded. Gas is beginning to work. I got the tape. Now pull and turn your wrists. Pull more, Annie. There, that did it. Your hands are free. Pull the tape off your mouth now. Keep your head down low, kid. Try to hold on.
I will.
Pull this tape off my hands.
You better let me free my ankles first so I can get to that truck and shut off the motor.
No. Free my hands. Those two guys may be just outside where they can hear.
Yes, but if it keeps on running, we'll...
If it doesn't keep on running, we'll have no second chance like this. Free my hands.
All right. I've got the end loose.
Pull now. There, does it. Now, unwind your ankles while I get this stuff off of mine.
What good will it do us? We can't get out of here.
We'll get out. Don't breathe, Tizzy.
This
Get out.
garage is solid concrete. And I heard them lock those heavy doors when they went out. So...
I've got my ankles free. Now, hang on, kid. I'm picking you up.
What are you going to do?
I'm putting you in this truck.
This truck? Why?
It's taking us out of here. Keep your head down.
Okay.
I'm driving through those doors.
Okay, we're through. Pure air.
Wait a minute, look. Also, those two Pensa guys, they heard us.
Listen, they have guns, too. Step on my gas, Casey. Drive past them. Let's get away.
I can't.
You can't. What's the
I
matter?
stalled the motor. Duck, they're shooting.
Oh, why are they running away? They're getting into that car.
They're going to try to get away. If I can only get this motor started again. That did it. Now, come on.
Casey, don't drive toward their car. They'll
I'm
start
driving
shooting.
into their car. This 10-ton truck does a nice job when it hits a tin can like
Oh, Casey. My nerves will never be the same again.
that. I'll never recognize mine either. Come on, let's call City Desk. Get the cops out here so we can get to the Blue Note. I need another pair of glasses. The kind you fill.
Recently, in a big eastern city, a group of trained men and women called on thousands of housewives and asked this simple question. What kind of container do you prefer for the food you buy? An overwhelming majority of housewives said they preferred to buy food packed in glass. Among them were a great many mothers of small children, and by a ratio of more than 8-to-1, these mothers said they insisted on prepared baby foods packed in glass. They gave many reasons, as you might expect, but here are the 3 reasons mentioned most frequently. First, glass lets you see what you buy before you buy it. Second, you can heat, serve, and store leftover portions of prepared baby food in the same glass container. And third, these young mothers agreed that sterilized glass containers are cleaner and more sanitary. You can buy an increasing number of the better brands of food packed in glass, and all of the better brands of prepared baby food come to you in Anchor glass containers sealed with tamper-proof Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
You didn't kill them 2 kidnappers when you threw that truck at them, Casey?
No, Bethelbert, no. The cops pulled him out of the wreckage in fairly good shape, considering.
They'll be able to walk to the chair.
How about the ransom money? Did the cops find it?
Yeah. Gus, the fat guy, confessed the Walters kidnapping and told where he and Nick had hidden the dough.
Gee, and all because you and Miss Williams did some Christmas shopping. Say, what happened to the little dip, Fingers Fogarty?
Well, in trying to clear himself of the kidnap and murder charge, Ethelbert, Fingers made so many admissions about his own specialty that the cops can keep him in jail until 1999.
Gee, 1999, huh?
Good heavens, Casey, what's that coming in the door?
What on earth?
What do you say, mister? That's the biggest tree I got on the wagon, okay?
Yeah, Yeah, now that's what I call a real Christmas tree.
Ethelbert, what are you going to do with such a big tree?
Well, you couldn't get a little tree in that big room.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday at this time by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, a great name in glass. By John Deese, is written by Alonzo Dean Cole and is based on the fictional character of Casey, created by George Harmon Cox. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Leslie Woods as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. Now, for our sponsor, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, and all of us on the show, this is Tony Marvin, wishing every one of you a joyful and happy holiday at this Christmas time. This is CBS Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Oh, hello, Casey. I'm sure glad to see you.
Yeah, hi, Ethelbert. Say, what's with Marvin and this me stuff? Huh?
Maybe you can find out. He won't talk.
Huh? Hey, Tony, what goes with you and Herman Chittison and that me noise?
Me. Hey, Herman, will you give me an A now? Me.
First it's me, and then it's give me an A. Well, what's this A business, anyhow?
Why, Casey, A is for Anchor Hocking, the world's largest makers of household glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, The Surprising Corpse. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the living room of a beautifully furnished penthouse apartment.
Mrs. Daybell.
Yes, Marie?
The Comte de Gaston is here.
Show him in.
Yes, Mrs. Daybell. You may go in, Comte de Gaston.
Henriette, my lovely one.
Hello, Leon.
It was good of you to send for me. I kiss your beautiful hand.
Don't.
Henriette.
Come into the library where we can talk privately.
Very well.
Sit down, Leon.
You are mad at me, Henriette. I can always tell when you are chagrined. It shows in your so lovely eyes.
Yes, well, now that we're alone, Count, suppose you drop the phony accent.
Okay, what's the beef?
I've advanced you almost $40,000.
As you're to get it back with 500% interest, you've made a good investment.
I'm not so sure of that.
Henrietta, this silly, bird-brained girl I'm engaged to marry will inherit millions when she's 21, only a year from now. You can't lose. You even took out insurance on my life.
Yes, but only for enough to protect my actual loans to you. You see, Leon, I expect a profit as well, and I won't get that unless you marry Paula Durfee and get your hands on her inheritance.
Don't worry, she's mad about me.
Her uncle, who controls her estate until she's 21, and her brother Arthur are mad at you.
Paula pays no attention to them.
When you drink, you talk too much.
What do you mean?
Several nights ago at the bar of the Yorkshire Club, you told everybody what you really think of Paula Durfee.
Who told you that? I swear.
I have reliable informants in many places, Leon. I watch over my investments, and you're one of them. I've not had a loss so far, and I don't intend to have one in you.
I'm sorry, Henriette. I drink too much, no more.
I don't trust you.
Oh, Henrietta.
And because I don't trust you, I want to liquidate your debt.
Liquidate?
Oh, it'll be to your advantage as well as mine. Would you like to make $100,000 right away? 25% of which goes to me, of course.
Would I?
My plan may strike you as fantastic, Leon, but this Paula Durfee's a little fool. If she weren't, she wouldn't be in love with you and jealous of you.
You're most flattering, Mrs. Zabel.
You've an appointment with Paula today, of course?
At 5 o'clock for cocktails.
Well, don't drink too much before you meet her. And don't tell her this scheme was the idea of anyone but yourself. You must take all the credit.
Go on. Tell me how to get this 100,000.
This is the way, Leon. When you meet Paula, you tell her in your own...
Leon, darling, you're not serious about this.
My beautiful Paula, I've never been more serious in my life.
But it's crazy, my sweet. You had too much to drink before you met me.
I have only a few. What is for 5, maybe 6 cocktails?
Where did you have them?
At Luardi's bar.
With some woman?
I am with a man named Casey.
I don't know any Casey.
He's a nobody who takes pictures for the newspapers. I meet him in this cafe. We have a drink together.
But I don't trust you. You've been seen with other women.
Who sees me with other women?
My brother Arthur has seen you, and my uncle.
They tell you this because they do not like me. Oh, Cole, chérie. You have proof that I love you madly, that I desire to marry you right away. What I tell you a moment ago is proof of that.
What, that crazy scheme?
It is good scheme. Will you go to your uncle tonight?
I'd never convince
You
him.
will. Paula, you are a great actress. What drew me to you when first we meet is the drama in you. I say to myself, there is woman, fire, with emotion. She is Bernhardt. She is Betty Grable.
You didn't.
Upon my love for you, I did.
Oh, Leon.
Will you go to your uncle in 2 hours from now and tell him?
Would be exciting.
It is perfect plan.
You thought it up?
Certainly. I have a brain.
I'll do it. Uncle Clement should give me enough for us to get married on, even if we have to trick him into it. Tell me the plan again, Leon. All of it, so when I go to Uncle Clement...
My dear, this is astounding. Devastating.
I couldn't help it, Uncle Clement. I couldn't help it.
Paula, I've tried to take care of you since your parents died. I've tried to shield you. I warned you.
I had to do it. And now you've got to protect me, Uncle. You've got to save me.
I will, child. Take me to this place. I'll do what I have to do.
Why are we turning here, Casey?
Annie, won't you ever learn this town? This is a shortcut back to the office.
Oh, you and your shortcuts.
Hey, that car that just passed us, Annie.
What
Look
car?
at the license number.
Captain Logan, Homicide Squad.
Wait a minute, it's stopping it. He's going to park.
Sure is, in front of that brownstone house.
Look, Logan and Sergeant Flanagan are getting out and fast.
They're here on a job, Casey.
Is that it? Let's see what this is all about.
You and me both.
Come on.
What do you suppose they're here for?
What's the use of supposing? We'll know in a minute. Logan just opened the door and walked in. We'll do the same thing.
He probably won't like this.
Well, so what? They're in that room. Hi, pal.
Casey.
Just happened to be passing by. Thought we'd drop in. Good evening,
Hello,
Sergeant.
Hello, Casey. Miss Williams.
Hi.
Well, what brought you two uncouth characters to this swanky church, huh?
Take a look behind this sofa.
Huh? Say.
A dead man.
2 gunshots got him through the head.
Hey, that's the Count.
Who?
Count Leon de Gaston is what he called himself. He was engaged to that dumb little glamour girl, Paula Durfee.
Sure. I've seen her with him around the night spot.
This is interesting.
How did it happen, Captain?
I don't know, Miss Williams. I got a phone call at headquarters from a guy who wouldn't give his name. He said a murder had been committed at this address and that we'd find the front door unlocked. He knew what he was talking about.
Logan, his body's still warm.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some pictures of it.
No, not until I call my tech man.
Now, Logan.
You heard me.
Outside door's open. More visitors.
It happened in that room, Uncle.
Some woman.
Get behind this screen, everybody out of sight.
Show me, Paula.
Paula?
Quiet and keep out of sight.
I can't go in there again, Uncle. I can't.
You must show me where you killed that man.
Oh, please, Uncle Clement.
Show me where and how you shot him.
All right. Leon stood there behind that sofa laughing at me. I took the gun, pointed it at him, and pressed the trigger. Right there is where he stood.
You told me the truth. Where's his body?
No. Oh, no.
We've heard enough. You're under arrest, miss.
I didn't do it. I didn't kill him.
That's not what you said a minute ago.
But I was lying. Leon can't be dead. He just can't be.
Oh, my child.
I think introductions are in order, mister. I'm Captain Logan, Homicide Bureau.
I'm Clement Durfee. This is my niece, Paula.
Oh, Leon can't be dead. He can't be.
It's no use trying to change your story, Miss Durfee.
But what I said was all a lie. I didn't.
Please.
I didn't. I couldn't. I loved him. The things you heard me say, the story I told my uncle, was Leon's idea.
What did she tell you, Mr. Durfee?
I'd rather not say.
Look, a murder has been committed. You got to.
I'll tell you what I told my uncle, but it wasn't true. I said that I was jealous of Leon, that I came here tonight and shot him, but it was all a lie.
You were jealous of Count de Gaston, weren't you, Miss Durfee? He told me you were when I was with him this afternoon.
You were with this guy today, Casey?
Mm-hmm. For about an hour at Luardi's bar, and he was getting quite a load on, too.
Maybe he told you about the plan he had.
He didn't say anything about a plan.
Go on, Miss Durfee.
All I told my uncle was part of Leon's plan. He said that if Uncle Clement was convinced I'd committed a murder, he'd pay $100,000 to protect him.
Really? How was he to pay the $100,000?
He was to give it to Batson, Leon's valet. Leon said he'd arranged everything with Batson.
And why was he to give it to this Batson?
Well, because Batson would say he'd been a witness to the murder and that he'd gotten rid of the body. And when Uncle came here, he was to see nothing but some stains on the floor that would look like blood. Leon said he'd put them here before he went away and hid himself. And I was to get the money from Uncle and pretend to pay Batson for his help and his silence. And then I was to join Leon at his hiding place, and we were going to be married. I don't know who killed him. I don't know.
I've heard some pretty fantastic stories from murderers, Miss Durfee, but yours tops them all.
Oh, Uncle Ken, make him believe me.
My niece told me this man Batson had promised to take the Gaston's body away, Captain.
He obviously didn't take the body away. Sergeant, we want to see Batson. Get out a tracer on him.
Yes, sir.
There's the front door again.
More people come into this house.
What?
I beg pardon.
Who are you?
It's Batson.
Good evening, Miss Durfee.
Batson, tell them what the Count de Gaston told you to do tonight. Tell them.
The Count told me to do nothing tonight, miss.
He did. He must have. He was going to give you instructions.
I haven't seen the Count since early afternoon, Miss Durfee.
You're lying. You're lying.
Really, miss. I say, what's going on here?
Step back of this sofa, Batson. Take a look.
The Count. Good heavens, he's dead.
Yeah.
But who?
This very imaginative young woman did the job.
I didn't.
You'll have a hard time convincing anyone of that, Miss Durfee. Sergeant, phone the squad now and stay in charge here. The rest of us are going to headquarters.
Yes, sir, Captain.
Logan.
Yes, Casey?
That gal's story is so completely cockeyed, it might be true.
Oh, Casey.
Are you nuts?
Maybe. But I'm getting what feels like a hunch.
Only a few years ago, oven glass which could be used for oven baking, was considered an expensive luxury. Anchor Hocking, with its vast laboratory and manufacturing facilities, changed all that by perfecting a new kind of oven glass, more beautiful than anything that had been known before, guaranteed it for 2 years against oven breakage, and offered it at unbelievably low prices. This new kind of glass is Fire King Oven Glass. You can recognize it immediately by its beautiful pale blue color. A special process makes its mirror-smooth surfaces miraculously easy to clean. Its lighter weight makes it easier to handle. If you've never tried oven glass, why not try it now? Ask for it at your favorite chain, variety, hardware, or department store. Fire King Oven Glass is a product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
Casey, how in the world? Huh? Now, Grace, look. After all... No, not now. Oh, dear, these women. Now, Casey, as I was saying, how in the world can you think that Durfee gal didn't commit the murder?
That's what I'd like to know, too, Ethelbert.
Look, I tell both of you, I've got a hunch.
It's the kind of hunch I'd hate to bet on.
Well, who's asking you to bet on it?
I've noticed that when Casey gets a hunch that a gal's being unjustly treated, Ethelbert, she's usually a very good-looking gal. Paula Durfee hasn't got a brain in her head, but she has got looks.
Oh, don't talk nonsense, Anne.
Hey, Walter!
Bring up some more lemons.
Yeah. Huh?
Annie, listen, I'm telling you, it's because that kid is so brainless that I think that she may have fallen for that crazy plan she says to Gastoni proposed. And then somebody who knew about the plan bumped the guy off, knowing that she'd take the rap for it.
Casey, you haven't got the slightest basis for that.
Oh, yes,
idea.
I have. Yes, I have. That phone call that brought Logan to the Gaston's place.
They ain't been able to trace that call?
No.
Well, a neighbor might have made it, or somebody passing on the street who heard the shots and didn't want to become involved.
Oh, that's possible.
Now,
but I doubt
Casey,
it.
the Gaston told you himself that she was madly jealous of him. So tonight she just got too jealous and went bang, bang.
Gaston told me something else this afternoon. As a matter of fact, I'd forgotten it up to now. He'd just come from Mrs. Zabel's place.
Mrs. Zabel?
Yeah.
Did you make that name up?
No. Henrietta Zabel, that's her name.
Who's she?
The hard-boiled dame I know. I wonder.
You wonder what?
Mrs. Zabel always has a few of those fortune-hunting guys around her, guys like the Gaston. I've heard she bankrolls them while they're on the make for gals with dough.
Well, so what?
Well, so I'm going back to headquarters and check a little matter with Logan that I neglected to check before.
Captain Logan's in his office, Casey, but he's busy right now.
Somebody with him, Sarge?
Yeah, the brother of that girl who knocked off the Gaston, Arthur Durfee.
Oh, yeah, that Paula kid's his only sister.
Just two of them, huh?
Yeah. Well, Arthur's about 5 years older than she is, I think. He's another case of too much dough.
Uh-huh.
He got his share of the Durfee millions when he reached 21, and he's been spending it.
He's leaving the office now, Casey.
Yeah.
Good night, Mr. Durfee. I deeply regret the trouble that's come upon you and your uncle and your sister. That you must realize that I have a job to do.
Yes, I realize that, Captain Logan.
I can promise you she'll undergo no unnecessary hardships.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, Captain. Tough luck, fella.
Oh, who?
I'm just a newspaper guy. I want you to know that I'm all for your sister. Oh. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You want to see me, Casey?
Yeah, Logan, yeah.
Come on in. The toughest thing a cop ever has to do is talk to relatives of a prisoner he's shoving toward the chair.
I can imagine.
What's on your mind, Casey?
Logan, you traced all phone calls to and from the Gaston's home today?
Yeah.
Did the Gaston make a call from his home not long before he was shot?
Yeah, it's here in the report.
Yeah, to whom?
Mrs. Henrietta Zabel.
Mrs. Zabel, huh?
Yeah. Lives in a swanky penthouse over on the boulevard.
Yeah?
She's 100%.
100% what?
Well, okay.
What makes you so sure of that?
Oh, I went over and talked to her myself. She admits the Gaston phoned her. Makes no secret about it. Says they were old friends.
Yeah? What did he call her about?
Yeah, she doesn't know. She was out at the time. The maid answered.
Oh. Where was she out at the time the Gaston was shot?
How do I know? I don't ask everyone I talk to for an alibi when I got the killer in a cell.
I don't think you have the killer in a cell.
Are you going to start that again?
Yes, Logan, I am, and you're going to help me prove that I'm right.
Oh.
Logan, look. Now, I've met this Mrs. Zabel, and she's a foxy character. And the Gaston hadn't enough imagination himself to cook up the scheme that Paula claims she fell for. Well, my hunch says that Mrs. Zabel put him up to it.
Casey, there wasn't any scheme.
But you don't know there wasn't. You've got to give that Durfee kid a chance.
What do you want me to do?
I want Mrs. Zabel watched and her telephone wiretapped.
Hey,
You can do it, Logan. You can do it. And be sure it's done by the time that I visit her tomorrow.
So you're going to visit the lady?
Yeah. I'm going to pull a bluff that I think she'll fall for.
Mrs. Zabel will see you in the library, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Casey, madam.
Come in.
Thank you, Mrs. Zabel.
Well, I seldom forget a face, Mr. Casey. We've met before, haven't we?
Well, yes, I've taken pictures of you several times for the Cafe Society pages.
Oh, yes, of course.
May I close this door?
If you wish.
Thank you.
Is it customary for press photographers to require such privacy?
Well, I'm not here as a press photographer.
Oh, then what?
I really want to talk to you about Leon de Gaston.
Well?
I spent over an hour with him yesterday at Luardi's Cafe. He'd been drinking and was talkative.
Really?
Yeah. He told me about the idea you'd given him.
Interesting.
I think the cops would find it so if I told them. They might connect it with a phone call the Gaston made to you shortly before he was shot, while you were not at home. They might wonder who phoned headquarters to report the murder of the Gaston, and they might wonder who really killed the Gaston. What do you think?
I wonder why you haven't told this to the cops.
Because you're a rich woman and I'm a poor guy.
Blackmail.
Well, let's say you do me a favor and I do one for you.
Can you suggest any motive I might have had for committing a murder?
I think the cops might be able to dig one up. A motive, perhaps, that would mean a profit for you or prevent a loss. Okay, Mrs. Zabel. Until tomorrow. Logan, you say she made a phone call right after I left her, huh?
Yeah, but not from her own phone that I had a tap on. She went out to a public booth, so my guys don't know what she talked about.
Oh.
We traced the call she made to Clement Durfee's home.
Paula's uncle.
Uh-huh.
So he's her partner in this scheme.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
Look, Logan, look. If you'd just been threatened by a blackmailer who accused you of conniving in a murder that you had connived in, wouldn't your first act be to contact the other party to your killing?
I guess so, but...
Well, Mrs. Zabel fell for my bluff, Logan. Because she framed the scheme that de Gaston and his girlfriend fell for. And she framed it with Clement Durfee.
But why Durfee?
Remember, he handles Paula's estate, Logan. In a year, he'd have to turn it over to her, but with her out of the way...
But why should Mrs. Zabel...
Well, she'll do anything for dough, won't she? And he's paying plenty for what she did. But we'll get them both, Logan. And with the goods. I hooked her today. Tomorrow, when she tries to pay me blackmail, you'll be there to pull her in.
Well, she's a swell-looking woman with a head full of brains, all right.
And that little Paula's a beautiful thing, too.
Excuse me. Homicide Bureau, Captain Logan speaking.
This is Mrs. Zabel, Captain.
Huh? Mrs. Zabel. How do you do?
I'd like to see you as soon as possible, if I may.
Logan, she's all set for a confession.
Shut up. What do you want to see me about, Mrs. Zabel?
Well, I'd like to report the threats of a blackmailer, a press photographer named Casey.
Very interesting, Mrs. Zabel. I'm anxious to hear about it.
Will you come to my home as soon as possible, alone?
Yeah, I'll be there in half an hour.
Then I'll expect you. Goodbye.
You heard that, Casey?
I heard it.
You put something over on her. Wise guy.
And that's a full account of the man's clumsy blackmail attempt, Captain Logan.
And a true account.
How do you know it's true?
No, I know this Casey, Mrs. Zabel. I can figure he'd pull things like you said.
Now, I want to tell you something else.
Go on.
That man Casey was right. I did suggest the plan that Paula Durfee told you about.
What?
Yes, I gave it to Leon de Gaston in detail, and I told him to make Paula go through with it.
Well, then...
No, I didn't kill him. Somebody else made dupes of all of us.
Who's that somebody else?
Telling you won't be so convincing as letting you see and hear for yourself.
Now, look here, Mrs. Zabel.
This will be done my way, Captain, or not at all.
Well, let's hear your way.
Can you install a radio contrivance in my car that will permit you in a car following to hear what's said?
Yeah, my man can.
Then have it done at once, and follow me tonight.
Where's she going in that car of hers, Logan?
I told you she wouldn't tell me a thing, Casey, except to follow her, and we're doing that.
Well, she might give us a word occasionally through that radio gadget you had installed in the car.
Now, she's going to play this the way she wants it. Hey, you know, she is a swell-looking woman, Casey.
Yeah.
Not so young as Miss Durfee, of course.
Oh, no, not nearly as young.
But swell-looking.
Swell-looking.
All right. You both agreed that they're both beautiful
Hey,
gentlemen.
she's slowing down, Logan. She's going to stop.
I'll slow down, too.
Hey, a man's getting into her car.
Couldn't see his face.
Neither could I.
She's starting up again.
Thanks for picking me up, Henrietta.
That guy's voice.
That radio gadget looks pretty good.
Quiet.
I didn't want you to come to my house.
Yes, in the car here. I'm sure no one can hear us.
Who's the man, Casey?
Can't get his voice.
Neither can I.
So, Henrietta, you think we are under suspicion of murder?
Yes, and I have no intention of facing a murder charge I don't merit.
You suggested that little plan to the Gaston.
Whose plan was it?
Well, since we're quite alone, it was mine.
But you didn't tell me you really planned to murder Leon. I thought you were only helping me recover my money.
Oh, you know my real motive?
Yes. You wanted a murder conviction and death for your sister.
His sister?
It's Arthur Durfee still.
You see, I've spent my share of the estate, but with Paula out of the way, I'd get her share, too. I couldn't allow a little fool like Paula to get that money when I needed it, could I?
You think you'll get away with it?
Oh, you'll never tell anyone.
What?
You think I'd have said what I have if you were going to live?
Step on it, Logan.
And fast.
I'm stepping.
Look at that car behind us.
What?
You cut the ignition.
And threw the key out the window.
What a gal.
I'll say, it's all over for him now.
Sure is. That car's stopping.
Come out of that car, Mr. Arthur Durfee, with your hands in the air.
What's the meaning of this?
We're finishing your perfect plan, fella.
For keeps. And Mrs. Zabel...
Why, Mr. Casey...
I'm going to ask a favor of you. May I kiss you?
Hey.
Excuse me, Annie. Thanks, Mrs. Zabel.
Thank you, Mr.
Well, I like that.
I was just apologizing, Annie, and congratulating Henrietta.
We'll discuss your methods later, Mr. Casey.
It's now possible to tell almost exactly what Americans think on almost any given subject. An independent research organization recently conducted a poll in an eastern city to find out what kind of containers housewives prefer for foods. An overwhelming majority said that they preferred glass containers, and most of them mentioned these 4 reasons. Glass lets you see exactly what you buy before you buy it. Glass containers are clean and sanitary. They don't affect flavor or purity. Glass containers are easier and safer to open and can safely be used to store leftovers. Now, in the same survey, 8 out of 9 mothers of young babies said they preferred prepared baby foods packed in glass. Most of your favorite food products and all of the better brands of prepared baby foods are now available in Anchor glass containers, protected by tamper-proof Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
So Arthur Durfee's in the clink, Casey, and his sister's free, huh?
Yep, Ethelbert, yep. And Logan's treating me respectfully for a change.
I don't know why you had this case all wrong.
Well, even if Mrs. Zabel wasn't guilty, she led us to the murderer, didn't she?
That's right. She did, and you didn't.
Well...
All you did was push your way in for that apologetic, congratulatory kiss at the end.
Annie, my emotional nature got the best of me, that's all.
She's a nice-looking woman, that Mrs. Zabel.
She'll never see 45 again.
So what? Age brings experience. No, but experience isn't really necessary.
Casey, what did that young, good-looking Paula do when they let her out of the pokey?
Well...
Oh, yes, tell him, Mr. Casey.
Ethelbert, she kissed Logan.
And as for you, Ethelbert, what's that on your lips? That looks like...
Me?
Good night, Ethelbert.
Huh? Oh, good night, Grace. Oh, dear, these women.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King oven glass. Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, a great name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Leslie Woods as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, the world's largest makers of household glass. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Mr. Marvin?
Hi, Ethelbert. Are we on the air?
Yeah, but Say, you don't have your script with you tonight.
Oh, I don't need a script for what I have to say. Everyone knows that the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation is the world's largest maker of household glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole. Our adventure for tonight, The Gray Kitten. On the edge of our city is lovely Greenwood Lake. Just before midnight, an automobile pulls up to one of the big bungalows along the shore, and a tall, dark man gets out. Seeming to brace himself, he goes to the door and opens it with his key. Seated before the fireplace is a large and determined-looking middle-aged woman.
Hello, Carlos.
Why, Hester. This is a pleasant surprise.
Where's my sister?
Jessie, left for Detroit this evening.
Detroit?
Didn't she let you know?
She certainly didn't. She phoned me this morning and said she wanted to discuss something with me. She said nothing about leaving town.
Oh, you know our Jessie. Late this afternoon, she says, Carlos, my darling, I must leave for Detroit tonight to attend to some business. So, like a good husband, I arrange her transportation and take her to the 8 o'clock train.
I knew Jessica was becoming irresponsible 6 months ago when she married you. But I didn't think she was so far gone. Why, I've been waiting here ever since 8:30. And she didn't tell you I'd be here?
Not a word.
Oh, the woman's gone crazy.
When she phoned you this morning, what did she say she wanted to see you about?
She didn't say, but I had an idea, Carlos, that you'd been treating her badly again.
Why, my dear Hester, why don't you mind your own business?
Because I don't trust you. My sister's 50 years old. Young men of your type marry middle-aged women for just one reason, money.
I cannot hope to change your opinion, I suppose.
No. So, I'll be starting back to town.
I'll help you with the coat.
Don't bother. Carlos, how did you get all that dirt on your hands?
Dirt?
And your shoes and trouser legs are covered with it.
Oh, my car got stuck in the mud on the shortcut road. I had to push it out.
Oh. Just when will Jessica come back from Detroit?
She wasn't sure. She let me know.
I see. I suppose she went to Detroit to turn some more of her property there into cash for you to spend.
I do not know. And furthermore, I'm not interested in Jessie's money. Good night, Hester.
Good night. Oh, I nearly forgot something.
Forgot?
That cat of Jessica's had a kitten tonight.
A cat?
Daisy. I heard her meowing when I came in and found her in Jessica's room with one kitten beside her. She's just been born.
It was born at what time?
About 8:30.
In Jessica's room?
I just told you it was. Since Jessica's away, I'm taking Daisy and her kitten home with me. You wouldn't give them proper care. I put mother and child in a box in here. You see? Look at her.
A gray kitten.
Oh, gray. Except for that white streak on his head. It's just like the streak of pure white that runs through Jessica's gray hair.
Take that kitten out of here. Take it away.
Oh.
As you said, Hester, I wouldn't know how to take care of it.
Take the cat's box to my car.
No, you carry the box.
You act as though you're afraid of this cat and her kitten.
Come, I help you in your car.
Oh, very well. Be sure you let me know when you hear from Jessica.
I will let you know, Hester. I will let you know.
Logan, you're absolutely nuts. The longest game ever played in a major league was between Brooklyn and Boston in 1920. It went 26 innings.
Yeah, wait till I get my hands in the record book. I'll show you.
Got a record.
Goodness sakes, do you two have to make all this noise?
Wise guy.
That's your phone.
Wise.
Go on.
Good thing, too.
Hello, Homicide Bureau, Captain Logan speaking.
This is Miss Hester Simmons.
Who?
Hester Simmons. I live at 347 Parkview Drive.
Oh, Yes, Miss Simmons. What can I do for you?
Gives a good address so he gets polite.
Shut up, Casey. Go ahead, Miss Simmons.
I have something very important to talk to you about.
What is it?
My sister has been missing for 3 weeks, Captain. I'm afraid she's been murdered.
Murder, Casey.
Oh, tell me about your sister, Miss Simmons.
It's too long a story to tell over the phone. Come to my house, please. Now.
All right, I'll be there in 15 minutes, Miss Simmons.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Hey, you and Miss Williams will have to excuse me, Casey.
Oh, no. That little word murder we just heard has made us curious.
Just a front page story, pal, with pictures.
Okay, come on. Your sister's husband told you that night, Miss Simmons, he'd just put her on the train for Detroit?
Yes, Captain. But now I have every reason to disbelieve him.
Excuse me, Miss Simmons. What is the name of your sister's husband?
Carlos Gervasos.
Gervasos, right?
Go on with your story, Miss Simmons.
Well, since the night he told me that Jessica had gone to Detroit, I've heard nothing from her. She always writes me when she's away, and I became worried. So last week, I engaged a private detective agency.
I see.
And they learned that although callers purchased accommodations for the Detroit train that night, Jessica wasn't on the train. Nor have they been able to find any trace of her in Detroit.
Miss Simmons, you say Gervaso's hands were dirty and his shoes and trouser legs were caked with mud that night, huh?
Yes, Mr. Casey. He might have gotten in that condition from digging her grave.
Oh, Miss Simmons, you mustn't let yourself imagine such terrible things.
I despised Carlos from the day I met him. Why did he marry my sister? All she had to offer him was money. I think finally she refused to give him any more, so he got rid of her.
We'll look into your sister's financial affairs, Miss Simmons. I suppose you know who handled her business.
Yes. The firm of Burdens and Lockridge.
Good.
Oh, Captain, look out. Oh, my gosh, you almost stepped on that little kitten.
Oh, where did that come from?
I don't know. I guess it just wandered out of the other room. Oh, look at it. Can't be more than a few weeks old.
Yeah. A little bundle of gray fur.
And look at that funny white streak on its head, Casey. See? There's another mark on it.
Sure cute.
It's always running away from its mother. That kitten was born the night my sister disappeared.
Yeah?
Yes, I brought it home with me.
Well, I guess we'll be getting along.
Captain, if your investigation of my sister's financial affairs supports my suspicions, will you put Gervasos under arrest?
Well, that won't be sufficient basis for a murder charge, Miss Simmons, but it'll cause me to ask Mr. Gervaso some very personal questions.
That must be the house, Captain.
Yeah. This time of year, this place is a nice setup for a murder. Plenty of privacy.
And many places in those deep woods to bury a body.
Now, don't you two decide there's been a murder until there's a lot more evidence than I have now. I'll park here.
Well, you've learned that since her marriage, Mrs. Gervasos converted a lot of her holdings into cash. And that there's no record of where that cash went to.
Even if her husband got it, Miss Williams, that doesn't prove he killed
I
her.
wonder who that green car in the driveway belongs to.
Yeah. Miss Simmons said the Gervasos had a black one.
Yeah, I can see that one in the garage.
Look, I must have visitors.
I mean, a visitor. Look at those footprints in the snow.
A woman's footprint.
Hey, maybe the missing Mrs. Gervasos has come home.
Ring that doorbell. Let's find out.
I'm doing that little thing.
Who's there?
This is a police officer.
Police?
Let us in, please.
What do you want?
I can tell you that more comfortably inside.
Just a minute.
He sounded a little nervous.
Everybody gets nervous when a cop comes unexpectedly to their door. He's opening up.
Come in.
Thanks. You, Carlos Gervasos?
Yes.
I'm Captain Logan, Homicide Squad.
Homicide?
Uh-huh. This is Miss Williams and Mr. Casey.
I have done no homicide.
This is a nice living room, Mr. Gervasos. Where's the lady who just left it?
Lady?
Yeah, we saw her car outside and her footprints. Now, here's a highball glass with lipstick on the rim.
I see.
Well, let's see her.
Here I am. I stepped into the kitchen because I thought you might want to talk to Carlos in private. Well, introduce me.
This is Miss Vera Lavelle, an old friend.
Of yours or your wife?
Of both. I drove out here to ask Mr. Gervasos if he'd heard anything from Jessie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She's a bimbo, Logan.
In caps. Well, have you heard anything from your wife, Mr. Gavasso?
No. I think maybe my wife's sister has sent you to ask me about that.
You're right. And we arrived at such a nice time.
Distinctive shade of lipstick you use, Miss Laval. Matches the lip prints Mr. Gavassos is wearing on his chin.
So what?
This gives me the idea that your old friend was pretty sure his wife wouldn't drop in here unexpectedly.
This is ridiculous. I don't
Can it, Gavassos? When I came here, I was giving you all the benefit of a doubt. But now you're coming down to headquarters and tell me a lot of things.
Does this mean I'm under arrest?
Yes.
On what charge?
Suspicion of murder.
All of us are becoming increasingly price conscious. So I know you'll be interested in a product which costs not 1 penny more than it did immediately before the war and is actually far less expensive than anything even remotely comparable to it only 10 years ago. Now I'm talking about Fire King oven glass, the beautiful pale blue oven glass that is guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Fire King oven glass makes delicious meals simpler and easier to prepare, and it cuts dishwashing time by a full 2/3 because you bake, serve, and store leftovers in the same dish. It makes meals more appetizing and more healthful because oven baking safeguards not only flavor, but vitamins and minerals as well. Yet, individual pieces of Fire King oven glass cost as little as 5 cents at your favorite chain, variety, hardware, or department store. Beautiful, practical, inexpensive Fire King oven glass is a product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
So they turned that guy Gavassos loose today, huh, Casey?
Yeah. He's out of jail, Ethelbert.
And did poor Captain Logan go out on a limb when he put him in there?
Same limb you went out on, Annie. Stories you wrote after his arrest had the guy all but convicted and in the hot seat. I don't know how you talked City Desk into running those things. Must have been your charm, I guess. And the DA doesn't even ask for an indictment.
Well, he should have gotten an indictment. He was able to prove that Gavassos had gotten over $40,000 from his wife's estate. He could prove that Gavassos and his wife quarreled because she refused to give him any more money. He could prove that...
prove everything, Annie, except the all-important fact of murder. And they've still found no trace of a body. And the DA knows a trial jury wouldn't convict him.
So this Gavassos may get away with murder, if he's committed it.
Yeah, kind of looks that way, Ethelbert, now. I don't think he's going to keep much of that $40,000, though.
How do you mean?
Oh, no. That Laval dame will get it. You know, I think she pushed Gavassos into the murder of Jessica, and I think she'll push him into a new deal soon because she's going to want more money.
Hey, look who's coming in the door now.
Huh? Who?
Casey, it's Gavassos.
Who's out with him?
There we are, Dan. Hello, Miss Williams. Evening, Casey. We expected to find you here.
You were looking for us?
Not for you, Casey. But we have a present for you, Miss Williams.
What is it?
Tell her, Dan. Make it official.
Summons, lady.
Oh.
Yes. I'm suing for $100,000 damages to my name and reputation.
Well, Mr. Gavassos, do you think that I have $100,000?
Miss Williams, your paper will be a joint defendant in my suit. The stories you wrote were so very unkind to me.
Look here, Gavassos. If you bring a libel suit against Miss Williams in the Morning Express, the paper and everyone on it will do everything possible to prove you really killed your wife.
No one in this world can prove I killed my wife, Mr. Casey.
What's the matter?
The cat. The Gray Kitten.
Gray Kitten?
I must get out of here. Come on, Dan. Right with you, boss.
Casey, what is the
Don't
matter?
ask me. It was sure peculiar. Hey, wait a minute. Have a look at you, Kitty. Come here.
I guess some people are just naturally afraid of cats, Casey.
Hey, where did this kitten come from, Ethelbert?
I must have sneaked in from the street. It don't belong here.
It just sat on the floor and looked at Gavassos, and then when he saw it... Annie, this gray kitten has a single white mark on its forehead. Look. Like the one we saw at Miss Simmons a month ago.
Yes. Yes, it has.
I'm going to have a talk with Miss Simmons tomorrow. You know, I'm getting a screwy hunch that this cat is bad medicine for that guy Gervasos. Miss Simmons, you say Gervasos showed fear of this kitten the night it was born.
Yes, and I've been thinking of a certain possible reason for his actions that frightens me.
What's that?
Are you familiar with the theory of reincarnation?
Oh, you mean the belief that when a person dies, his soul is born again in a new body?
Perhaps in that of an animal. My sister Jessica believed in reincarnation. Carlos is very superstitious. And he'd heard Jessica say that when she died, she'd return to life as a cat.
Huh? She said that?
Many, many times.
And that kitten was born in your sister's room. About the time Gervasos may have killed her.
Yes. And this kitten has the white streak on its head that ran through Jessica's hair. I, as most people, regard the strange combination of things I've mentioned as coincidence. But I think they explain Carlos' fear and prove his guilt.
Miss Simmons, I kind of think so, too. We've got to have better proof than that for a jury. I want to borrow that kitten.
What for?
I'm going to use it to break that guy down. Play on his superstition till he cracks wide open. At least once a day, he's going to run into this cat.
He ran into it last night, and no one arranged that.
Yeah, that's funny, isn't it?
Very funny. Take the kitten, Mr. Casey, and be good to it. Be good to it, Mr. Casey.
Your idea about using that kitten to crack Gervasos is swell, Casey.
Huh? Well, I'm glad you see the possibilities, Logan.
Every time Gervasos goes out, one of your detectives will shoo the kitten right across his path, Captain.
Beautiful, Miss Williams. Simply beautiful.
Well. For once, we bring you an idea and you don't throw ice water on it.
You two masters of detection and criminal psychology haven't given me a chance to talk yet. Your idea is magnificent, stupendous, and colossal.
Yeah.
It might even work, except for one thing. Gervasos has disappeared.
Disappeared?
He and that Laval dame took a powder last night, left with bag and baggage.
Well, didn't you have him walk?
I thought the DA's men were keeping an eye on him, and he thought my guys were doing the job.
Nice going.
Of course, you newspaper birds never make a
Don't
mistake.
you two start one of your riots now. My nerves won't take it, please. Captain, you'll locate Gervasos and the Laval woman eventually, of course.
We'll try to, Miss Williams, but we still don't have enough evidence of murder. I've got work to do now. The two of you take that kitten and get out of here.
Okay. Where is the kitten, Casey?
Huh? Well, it was on the floor here a minute ago. See? Here, Kitty. Here, Kitty. Cat, come here.
Not over here.
Kitty, come
Anyway,
here.
the door's closed, so...
Here, Kitty. Here, Kitty.
Sound kind of silly,
It
Logan.
must have gone out that window.
Yeah, there it is.
It's down on the street.
It's running around that corner.
Oh, my gosh, it'll be killed or get lost, and we'll never find it.
You should have been watching it, Casey. Now, like Gervasos, the kitten is gone.
Casey, it's been... Look out, Grace! Oh, dear, these women. Did you see what she did?
Yeah.
Well, Casey, it's been a long time now since that Gervasos and his gal friend flew the coop, huh?
Yeah, over 3 months, Ethelbert, yeah.
And the cops haven't found a trace of him.
It's really a break for you and your newspaper, Miss Williams. With Gervasos gone, he can't sue you.
I think that was just a shakedown anyway.
I hope.
Yeah. If he'd stuck around, I think we'd have gotten a confession out of him, too.
By using that kitten as your plan?
Why, sure. He was scared to death of that little thing, Ethelbert. I think seeing it here that night was the reason he lammed out of town in such a hurry. Oh, wait a minute. Here's Logan.
Hello, everybody. I hoped I'd find you here, Casey.
Yeah, we'll draw up a stool, pal.
I haven't time now.
Huh?
Casey, we've located Gervasos in Vera Laval.
Yeah, where?
Yeah, in a town less than 100 miles from here. The guy's married again to another rich old dame.
Married again,
Yeah, under another name, of course. And he's dyed his hair, grown a mustache, and is wearing glasses. The local cops only got wise to him by accident. And the Laval gal is living in the same town. She's changed herself over, too. They're getting ready for another killing, Casey.
You mean that literally?
Yeah. A servant who works for Gervasos' new wife overheard a conversation between Gervasos and Laval. And the servant tipped off the wife, and she told the cops.
Yeah?
They instructed her to sit tight until I got there. I understand the guy is planning to take his new missus, who's really got plenty of dough, on a boat trip to South America. But she's not supposed to reach there.
Oh, what's his scheme to get rid of her?
We don't know yet, but I'm leaving for Gavasso's new hometown in an hour. Hey, you want to go along?
Doing.
Pal, we're on our way.
You sure we're alone in this house, Carlos?
I sent my dear Isabel to the movies. We're quite alone here. Come into my room where you can see what I have arranged for our little trip.
I don't trust your arrangements, Carlos. I planned the last job, and it went off perfectly.
Perfectly for you. You got most of the money. And you did not have to see that Jessica look at you when she died. I can still see her eyes staring into mine.
Oh, you've got no guts.
It was not a nice thing to remember. And then the Gray Kitten.
Carlos, if I ever see you go soft again about that Gray Kitten idea, I'm pulling out and fast.
She always said she'd be born again as a cat. And that kitten...
Stop it, I said. Stop. Now, let's get our plans straight. When your wife comes home from the movies tonight, you're going to do the job.
Yes. Tomorrow morning, an expressman will call for our trunks. She will be in one of the trunks.
Which will be shipped to New York from where the boat leaves. Then I, wearing her clothes and with her big fur scarf pulled up about my face, will take her place on the train.
When we get to New York, we claim the trunk, get rid of its contents, and disappear.
Right. Then under new names, we go to sunny California with nearly $80,000 that you've gotten out of your latest wife. Which trunk are you going to use for the job?
That old-fashioned flat one.
I'll just take a look at it.
Be careful with it. Do not touch its lid.
Why?
Look closely inside the lid.
There's a thin glass tube running along the inside edge.
The tube is filled with gas. A gas so poisonous that the one who breathes it dies almost instantly. And the lid of this trunk is closed. The glass tube automatically breaks. And whoever is inside...
Why such a fancy layout? All you have to do is choke the old dame.
No. I tell you, I'll never look into a dying woman's eyes again. My wife gets into that trunk and kills herself.
Crazy fool. How will you make her get inside and close the lid?
You do not know the wife I married this time. She called me Puggy Wiggum. Likes to play childhood games.
Childhood games?
You don't know what I've gone through. Her favorite is hide and seek. I will play hide and seek for the last time tonight. And she will be sure to think that empty trunk a very fine place to hide. The lid is very finely balanced, and it is equipped with a snap lock.
Oh, wait a minute. Your Isabel may not be able to cram herself into this trunk. You and she are about the same size, Carlos. Let's see if you can fit in there.
You wouldn't let the lid fall on me, Vera.
Oh, don't be nuts. What would I gain by that?
Nothing. I have Isabel's money. I trust you in getting.
You are a trusting guy.
But hold the lid open.
I will.
The trunk is kind of small for me.
I was afraid of that.
Wait. I move this way. Now I'm all inside. See? But I will have difficulty getting out. Hold tight the lid while I... What? The cat! Behind you, the gray cat!
How did it get in here?
It's going to jump there! Hold the lid!
It's going right after my face!
Don't let the lid go!
I didn't mean to. Carlos, I didn't mean to. That cat! That cat!
That's the door, Logan. Right there, Tracy.
Captain Logan, Casey.
Shoot the lock off that trunk, Logan.
Yeah, fast.
All right, I'll lift the lid.
Get away quick, Casey. That's gas.
The windows are open. It'll soon clear.
Not quick enough for Cavazos. I've seen a lot of dead guys, and our pal here is one of them.
You were listening outside.
We heard everything, Miss Lavelle. And I'm arresting you for the murder of Carlos Cavazos.
But I didn't kill him. That cat maybe let that lid fall.
We don't see any cat here, Miss Lavelle. Maybe it jumped out one of those open windows, or maybe it never was here. Anyway, a jury won't swallow that story.
Miss Lavelle, we're going to be sure you pay for murder this time.
Perhaps you are one of the housewives interviewed in a recent big city survey. If so, you may recall you were asked these two questions among many others. When you buy packaged foods, what kind of container do you prefer and why? A vast majority of you said that you preferred to buy foods packed in crystal clear glass. You gave literally hundreds of reasons. Practically all of you, however, preferred the glass package because it lets you see exactly what you buy before you buy it. Included in this survey were many hundreds of young mothers who were questioned on baby food packages. 8 out of 9 said they not only preferred, but insisted on prepared baby foods packed in glass. And their most important reasons were that glass was cleaner and more sanitary, that leftovers can be resealed and safely stored in the original container. Now, you too can have these recognized advantages with the foods you buy. Simply demand foods packed in glass, in Anchor glass containers protected by Tampa-proof Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
You and Logan never meant to railroad that Laval dame for the murder of Gervasis, huh, Casey?
Of course not, Alibi. We were just putting on pressure.
To make her tell what she and Carlos had done with the body of Jessica.
What had they done with her?
Carlos had buried it about 4 miles away from Greenwood Lake, where the cops had no reason to search for it.
Casey, you and Miss Williams didn't see the cat that made that trunk lid fall and kill the guy, huh?
No, we didn't see it.
It had gone out a window as we guess it came in.
Do you think it was really the Gray Kitten?
Could have been any cat.
Ethelbert, we don't know.
According to that reincarnation idea, an animal might be born again as a human being.
Yes, Ethelbert. That's possible.
Very, very possible.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. Hey, what are you staring at me for?
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King oven glass, Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, a great name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Deese. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Leslie Woods as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, the world's largest makers of household glass. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
You, Mr. Marvin.
Huh?
There ain't no door to open. You're already inside.
Why, Ethelbert, haven't you heard that song?
You mean that is the name of a song?
Certainly. Haven't you heard it on the radio?
You know, Mr. Marvin, I never get a chance to listen to the radio. What I mostly hear is Anchor Hocking is...
That's right. Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation is the world's largest makers of household glass. ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, 20-Minute Alibi. Late afternoon, in the office of the Acme Insurance Company. A telephone rings on the desk of Mr. Edward Phillips.
Acme Insurance, Phillips speaking.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes?
This is Mr. Prescott. Travis Prescott. I've got to talk to you about my life insurance policy.
Yes, Mr. Prescott.
I've been having trouble raising the money for the premium. How much more time have I got?
Well, I sent you a final notice sometime last week.
Yes, you did, but what'll happen if I can't meet the payment?
Why, after today, I'm afraid the policy will have to lapse, Mr. Prescott.
Lapse?
Yes. In other words, you won't be insured after today.
What time? What time is it now?
Why, 5:15.
And I have until midnight to pay the premium?
That's right, sir.
But if anything happened to me before, the policy is still good now, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's all I wanted to know.
Just a moment, Mr. Prescott. Prescott? What happened? Mr. Prescott? Mr. Prescott! Well, congratulations, Ethelbert. When did all this happen, anyway?
Last night, Casey, the bartenders were just having their regular monthly meeting, and they elected me.
What do you know?
Of course, I still think the reason so many people come in here is because they like to hear Herman Chittison play the piano.
Boy, you got a point there.
Like my sister Edna says, quote, eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow you don't have to work. That is, if it's Saturday night. Unquote. But you know Edna.
Yeah, I know Edna.
Hello, Ethelbert.
Good night. Oh, hello, Miss Williams.
Hi, Annie. Pull up a stool. You crazy. What do you have, huh?
Not now, Casey. We got a job.
What? Well, where? What's up?
Man got killed over at the Milton Hotel, shot in the head with his own revolver.
Suicide?
That's what Captain Logan's men seem to think. We better get over there right away.
Well, what's the rush?
Because I know you, Casey. If Logan says it's suicide, you're going to think it's murder.
Come on, Annie. We're going to have to shoulder our way through this. Gosh, enough cops in this hall to launch a battle. Here, where are you going? Press, Commissioner. Gentlemen of the press. Her, too.
No, officer, I'm a lady.
It's all right, Dolan. They can come in.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Logan. Well, old boy, it's awfully decent of you to let me solve this case for you.
Now, don't start masterminding, Casey. This is a very simple job, and all you have to do is take pictures.
Oh? The murderer's confessed, has he?
The murderer has not confessed. There isn't any murderer, understand? This is a simple case of suicide, and let's keep it that way.
Okay. I didn't say anything.
Maybe not, but you're thinking.
Well, one of us has to think, huh, Logan?
Oh, don't pay any attention to him, Captain. He just got up on the right side of bed this morning.
Well, he won't get up at all tomorrow if he doesn't watch his...
Well, come on. Where's the body, Captain?
Over here, behind the sofa, right next to the telephone stand.
Where you found him?
I didn't find him, Casey. My men found him.
What's his name?
Prescott. Travis Prescott.
You live here in this hotel?
No, he was a salesman, lived uptown, but used this room as a sort of downtown office.
Watch it, Logan.
What's the matter?
Just taking a picture. Don't get scared. Now, you can put your clodhoppers anywhere you want.
Thank you.
Say, what makes you think it's suicide, Logan?
Oh, just a wild hunch. Prescott was found with a gun in his hand and a bullet hole through his right temple. Powder burns on the face proved that the gun was fired at close range, and a neat little suicide note was found in the carriage of his typewriter. Is that enough of a hint, Mr. Casey?
No.
Then I'll let you speak to Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips.
Yes, Captain Logan.
Will you please tell this gentleman that Mr. Prescott called you up at 5:15 this afternoon, that he didn't have enough money to pay the premium on his life insurance policy, and that you heard him shoot himself while you were on the phone?
Now, wait a minute, Logan. You can't hear a man shoot himself. You got to see it.
Well, this is practically the same thing. Mr. Phillips was still on the wire when the shot was fired.
That doesn't mean anything. The murderer could have phonied up the whole setup to make it look like suicide.
Use your head, Casey. If you wanted a murder to look like suicide, would you kill a man while he was still on the phone?
He's got you there, partner.
Okay, mastermind. You go to your church and I'll go to mine.
Now, just a second, Logan. Has anything in this room been moved? since Prescott's body was discovered?
You know better than that. Not till my tech men get finished.
Then it's murder, my friend. Good old premeditated homicide.
What do you mean?
Look at the telephone, Logan. Didn't you say Mr. Phillips here heard the shot over the wire?
Well, I did hear.
Well, then if Mr. Prescott committed suicide, how did the receiver get back on the hook? Only one person could have hung up that phone after Prescott was dead, Logan, and that's the murderer.
Now, wait a minute, Casey. I thought of that, too. It's just probable that Prescott put it back himself.
Well, after he'd been shot through the head.
But it's possible, isn't it? He could have staggered and dropped it back into place as he fell to the floor.
Sure. He could have played a violin concerto on the way down.
So will you shut up?
It doesn't make sense, Captain. Casey's right about this being murder, and you know it.
I don't know anything of the kind yet. Mr. Phillips, tell me, did you hear the phone click after the shot was fired?
Why, now that I think about it, Yes, I am sure I heard a click, as though the receiver had been placed back on the hook. Funny you're remembering it now. What do you mean by that? Nothing. Just passing the time of day until Captain Logan decides to start looking for some suspects.
Yeah, how about that, Captain? Doesn't this Mr. Prescott have any friends or relatives?
He's got a wife.
Yeah? Why isn't she here?
She probably will be any minute. I sent word to her just before you came in.
What was her reaction to the news, Captain?
I don't know. I wasn't the one who broke it to her.
Can't go in there.
That sounds like her now.
Here, lady.
Let go of me, please.
It's all right, Dolan. She can come in. We were expecting her.
Yes, sir.
Where is the officer? What have you done with him?
No. Just a minute, please.
Is he dead? Is he really dead? Tell me, how did it happen?
Please. Now, you got to...
For the name of heaven, officer, why are you keeping me from him? Why don't you let me see him? Travis!
No. You mustn't go.
For Pete's sake, will you take her away from me?
No. I love him. I love him.
I know how you feel, but you've got to pull yourself together now.
Well, let me stay with him just a little while. Don't you understand? I love him more than anything in the world.
I'm terribly sorry. I know it's a shock to you.
It's all right. Only I can't understand why anybody would want it. Who killed him, officer? Who killed him?
Why, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure he was killed.
Captain Logan thinks he might have committed suicide.
Oh, but that's ridiculous. He had everything to live for. He told me so this afternoon.
You saw your husband this afternoon, Mrs. Prescott?
Husband?
Yes. Aren't you his wife?
Why, no. I'm Evelyn Warner. I'm Mr. Prescott's secretary.
Day after tomorrow is Washington's birthday, and I'm sure you'll want to observe at least one good old tradition. So how about serving a delicious home-baked cherry pie for dinner? You'll find mouth-watering recipes in any good cookbook. But to make those recipes turn out right, to ensure flaky crust, evenly and lightly browned with no danger of scorching, be sure to use a Fire King oven glass pie plate. You see, Fire King oven glass absorbs oven heat so uniformly that it practically ensures baking results. Now, you'll find a wide selection of Fire King oven glass at your favorite chain, variety, hardware, and department stores, separate pie plates in different sizes, as well as casseroles with pie plate covers, and smaller pieces for baking individual deep dish cherry pies. Fire King oven glass prices are unbelievably low, and each piece is guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Ask for Fire King oven glass by name, another product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
He's got some nerve, Casey, walking right up to Mrs. Prescott's apartment and ringing the bell. What do you expect to find out from her anyway?
Somebody's coming. Yes? Excuse me. I thought this was Mrs. Prescott's apartment.
It is. I'm her father. Lane is my name.
How do you do, Mr. Lane? Is Mrs. Prescott in?
Yes, but if you're a reporter...
We won't stay very long, Mr. Lane. We just want to ask a few questions.
Well, I appreciate that it's your job, of course, but really we've been hounded by so many reporters this evening. Can't you come back at some other time instead of bothering Mrs. Prescott again tonight? She's been through so much.
We'll miss the morning edition.
Yes, I know, but couldn't I answer your question for you? After all, the police have been here, and the whole terrible shock of Mr. Prescott's death.
It's all right, Father. You can let them in.
But, Helen, I'm sure
It's all right, Father. What's the use of pretending I'm upset about Travis's death?
Everybody knows how he's treated me.
Helen, I think it's a mistake.
Oh, come in. Come in, won't you? Let's get these press interviews over once and for all.
Well, we'll make this a short one, Mrs. Prescott.
Thank you.
Helen, I think you're giving these people the wrong
What's
impression.
the good of keeping up appearances? It's all over now. Once I can really act the way I feel.
You sound as if you were almost glad your husband is dead, Mrs. Prescott.
Don't say that. I'm not glad. But I'm not sorry either. Yeah, I've been hurt so much these past few years. I'm just sort of numb about it. Does that seem very cold to you? Well, frankly, a little. Well, maybe it is. Then you didn't know Travis. You didn't know the pain or the heartache he could bring to those who tried to love him.
He was a scoundrel. Really he was. I hate to say so now, but he treated Mrs. Prescott abominably when he was alive.
In what way, Mr. Lane?
In every way. He drank, gambled, spent my daughter's money.
Spent it on other women. Women like that secretary of his.
Oh, you know about her?
Yes. She wasn't the only one. A little fool. He didn't care any more about her than he did about me. You think she might have killed him? If she was in love with him. Anybody who was in love with him might have killed him.
Including you?
I wasn't in love with him.
Well, it doesn't really matter very much. The police think he committed suicide.
Who, Travis? Not in a million years.
My father's right. Travis wouldn't take his own life. He was much too fond of living. Then you think that he was murdered? I'm sure of it.
By whom? Any ideas?
That's something for the police to figure out.
Say, look, try to remember, will you? After all, you're the doorman here. You ought to know what time Mrs. Prescott came home this afternoon.
Well, I do remember, but I don't know that I can pass that information along to you. I've already passed it along to the police.
But we're practically policemen. Show me your press badge, Casey.
And will you stay off my side? We're confusing the guy.
I'm not confused. I know when Mrs. Prescott came home.
Oh, yeah? When?
About 5:15.
5:15, huh? That's just a half hour after her husband was killed.
You could have done it, Casey. Only takes about 20 minutes to get here from the Milton Hotel. 25 at the outside if she came right over.
It's just what I was thinking. Say, tell me, Mac, did she come home in a cab?
Yes, I believe she did.
Alone, or was she with her father?
Oh, no. She wasn't with her father. Mr. Lane came home at least half hour earlier.
About 5:45.
No, just about. Maybe a few minutes before.
Well, that lets him out, but it doesn't make it any too cozy for her. Well, thanks for the tip, old man. Here's one for you.
Much obliged to you, sir.
Come on, Annie. We got work to do.
Well, wait a minute. You don't have to yank me off my feet. Where are we going?
Back to the car first.
Gee.
Then we're going to drive down to... Hey, wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Quick. Get up against the side of the building. Got a flash of that dame in the lobby. She's coming out.
What dame? Who's coming out?
Mrs. Prescott. There she is now. Gosh, she's dolled up.
A nice time for her to be gadding about. Where do you suppose she's going?
Keep your eye on her, Annie. You may have to tail her.
Look. Getting into that parked car in the corner.
For Pete's sake, get ready, kid. We're going to follow that car.
Why? Whose is it?
Don't you recognize the guy behind the wheel? That's Mr. Phillips, the insurance agent.
Casey, we'll both be killed if you keep driving this way.
Don't worry, Annie. I've still got 2 wheels on the ground.
Well, let one of the others down anyway.
Right, we're coming down for a landing now. Stopping up ahead.
I wonder why. Everything looks closed up around here. Where are we?
Downtown. Near River Street. These are all office buildings.
Wait. They're going inside that gray one on the corner.
Well, don't give them a chance to get away. Come on, Annie. We got to find out what they're up to.
Not so fast, Casey. I got high heels on.
No time to call attention to your legs. We're in a hurry.
Oh, don't be so manly. We'll catch up with them.
If we don't get a move on.
Well, there they are. Going in that side door off the lobby, see?
I hope they're not trying to give us a slip. That's what I hope.
No, it looks like some sort of office on the first floor.
Hey, it is an office. Oh. That's the insurance company. I'm going to find out what they're up to.
Easy now. Mr. Phillips might be back there with a gun.
Come on, we'll take a chance.
Don't tell me you're going to hold my hand.
Just across the threshold. There. Now you're on your own. Hey, what's that?
Take it easy, Casey.
Logan, what?
Captain Logan.
What are you doing here?
Minding my own business? What are you doing?
Now, look, Logan, don't be like that. We've been following that Phillips guy and Mrs. Prescott. They came in here a second ago. Didn't you see them?
Yes, I saw them. I sent for them.
You what?
I sent for them, Miss Williams.
Well, it's about time you got wise to yourself, Logan. Are they in this thing together?
Did they cook up some kind of scheme to kill Prescott and collect his insurance?
Well, not exactly.
Not exactly. Well, what do you mean? Come on, give. What have you got on them?
I just asked them to come down here so I could have a look at Mr. Prescott's insurance policy.
Aha! Good boy, Logan. That dame is suspect number 1 on my list.
Mine, too. He had motive and an opportunity to commit the crime.
When? Tell me about it.
At 4:45, when Travis Prescott was murdered, too. And she didn't get back to her apartment until 1/2 an hour later.
So you figure she was with her husband at the time of his death,
Mm-hmm.
Well, as a matter of fact, she wasn't.
Oh.
She's got an alibi, I suppose.
You said it, Casey, an airtight one. At 4:45, she was at a bridge party uptown with over a dozen witnesses, so she couldn't have killed her husband.
No, I guess not.
Then who did?
I don't know yet. I've still got an idea it was suicide, remember?
Yeah, I remember. Suicide or not, Logan, if you let that woman put one over on you, you're a sap. She has everything to gain by her husband's death, including that nice fat insurance policy.
Well, the policy may be fat, but it won't do her any good.
Why not?
Because she's not the beneficiary. Mr. Prescott left the money to Evelyn Warner, his secretary.
What do you want, Mr. Casey?
Well, I'll tell you, Miss Warner, if you'll just take your foot away from the door and let us come in.
No. Please, I'm awfully busy right now. Can't you two come back some other time?
And find you gone?
No, of course not. What makes you think I was going anywhere? Don't you dare come in here.
Why? What are you hiding?
Nothing.
Nothing but a half-packed suitcase. I can see that from here.
Go away.
I will in a minute, Miss Warner. Come on in, Annie.
Like you are.
Big idea, sister. But you know it's bad news to run away at a time like this? It's practically an admission of guilt.
I don't care what it is.
You mean you killed Mr. Prescott?
No.
According to what Logan tells me, you were at the office with him this afternoon.
Of course I was. I was his secretary, wasn't I? I was there until 4 o'clock.
And where were you after 4 o'clock?
Mr. Prescott sent me out on an errand.
And why are you so anxious to get away now?
Because I know what'll happen. They'll send me to the chair for something I didn't do.
You didn't do it. You got nothing to worry about, Miss Warner.
But all the evidence points to me, the insurance policy, the fact that I worked for him, even the fact that I was in love with him.
There's only one fact that really counts. Can you prove you were not with Mr. Prescott at 4:45 this afternoon?
No. The only man who could prove it for me won't help me.
Who's that?
Mrs. Prescott's father, Mr. Lane. He knows I wasn't at the office at 4:45 this afternoon, but he'll never tell the police that.
Why not?
Because he hates me. I'm sure he does. Any man would hate me for breaking up his daughter's marriage.
But he wouldn't send you to the chair for it. Besides, Mr. Lane doesn't strike me as the kind of a guy who'd blame you for what happened.
He would. I know he would. I can't take a chance.
You can't take a chance because you killed Travis Prescott.
No!
You'll have a hard time convincing him.
Stand back.
Hey, what are you
Look
doing
out,
there with that?
He's got a gun. Stand back, both of you. I know how to use it, and I will if you get in my way.
Don't be an idiot. You can't get away with this.
We'll see about that. Close my bag. Quick! Now, put it on the floor and stand back.
You're a chump to walk out of here with that gun in your hand.
I'm not asking your advice, Mr. Casey. Just don't move a muscle till I'm outside the door. Stand just where you are.
I'll take that gun if you please.
Mr. Lane!
What's the meaning of this, Miss Warner? I was just about to ring your bell.
Hold her, Mr. Lane. I'll take care of that gun.
Let me go, you stupid fool. Let go of me.
Thank you, Miss Warner. You might hurt somebody with that thing.
What's the matter here? What has she done?
Plenty, Mr. Lane. Murdered your son-in-law and tried to make it look like suicide. She just gave us a cock-and-bull story about you being able to fix her up with an alibi.
I don't understand. Didn't Mr. Prescott die at 4:45 this afternoon?
That's right.
Then how could Miss Warner have killed him?
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, Miss Warner dropped some mail off for me at the apartment this afternoon. I was with her at almost exactly 4:45.
Say, Casey, you've been sitting there for the last 15 minutes without opening your mouth. What's the matter with him, Miss Williams?
To put it in simple language, Ethelbert, Casey, is what we might call stuck.
Does that expression on your face, Casey, mean that you're thinking?
Yeah. Give me another cup of that coffee, Ethelbert. Awful stuff.
Walter, bring Casey another coffee. I told you it was awful. You know Walter can't make coffee.
You're telling me. Annie, I give up. As far as I can make out, nobody was at Mr. Prescott's office at 5:15 this afternoon.
Well, at least Mr. Prescott was there.
I'm beginning to wonder. Boy, if he was alive, he'd probably have an alibi, too.
Maybe Logan was right. Maybe it was suicide.
Certainly beginning to look that way. Only there's something awful fishy about that phone call.
You think Mr. Phillips is lying?
I don't know. He's got plenty of witnesses from his office. But there might have been some shenanigans at the other end of the line. Oh, say, Ethelbert, if that's for me, you know what to tell him.
Right, Casey. You know me. Excuse me, folks. Hello, Blue Note, Ethelbert speaking.
Deposit 5 cents, please.
Yeah, wait, I'll have to get... Hey, wait a minute. I just picked up the phone.
If you'll give me your name and address, we'll return your nickel.
But I didn't put in a nickel.
You should deposit 5 cents before you dial. Please hang up and dial again.
Hey, look, lady. Hello? Hello? Goodbye. Must have been a wrong number. Blue Note, Ethelbert speaking.
Wrong number. Excuse it, please.
I thought so. Oh, dear, these telephone operators. I have more trouble.
Hey, wait a minute, Ethelbert. Wait a minute. You give me a hunch.
Huh?
That telephone operator, Annie. That's who I want to talk to. Come on.
Where are we going?
Back to the Hotel Milton. I want to talk to the operator at the switchboard.
Hilton Hotel. Just a moment, please. Now, what were you saying, Mr. Casey?
Well, we wanted to have a look at the call sheet, miss. You keep a record of all outgoing calls, don't you?
That's right. Are you from the telephone company?
No, not exactly. But, look, if you'll do this little job for us, we can get your picture in the paper.
He's got his camera and everything.
Yeah, here it is.
Well, what do you want to know?
Oh, just how many calls Mr. Prescott made from his room this afternoon between 4:30 and 5 o'clock?
4:30 and 5 o'clock.
That's it. Did he make any other calls besides the one to the Acme Insurance Company?
Between 4:30 and 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. According to your sheet, Mr. Prescott didn't use the phone at all during that time. Last call he made was at 4 o'clock.
Let me see that, will you?
Sure.
Casey, what's it mean?
It means we're dealing with a pretty slick murderer. That phone call Mr. Phillips got wasn't made from this hotel.
So?
What's more, Prescott didn't even make it. His voice was impersonated by somebody else's after the murder was committed.
Yes, but
Here, hold on to this sheet, Annie.
Okay.
We got to get in touch with Logan right away. Operator, will you call headquarters, please? Hey, who turned off those lights?
I don't know, but somebody stepped into this room, Casey. I saw the door close just as... Oh, Casey, help me! Somebody grabbed the call sheet out of my hand. He's got the list of calls.
Don't worry, I've got him. Quick, turn on the lights while I hold him down.
I'll find the switch, Mr. Casey.
Now we'll see who murdered Travis Prescott.
Mr. Lane.
All right, Mr. Casey. I will try to get away. Go ahead and call the police.
Okay, Mr. Lane. So you killed your son-in-law?
Yes. I had every reason in the world for killing him. After the way he treated my daughter, he didn't deserve to live. I made up my mind to kill him when he tried to borrow money from me to meet his insurance policy. Policy that would only benefit that secretary.
After you shot Prescott, you went back to your apartment and called up Mr. Phillips, the insurance man. You impersonated your son-in-law's voice, and while Mr. Phillips was still on the wire, you fired a shot for him to hear over the phone.
Yes. I tried to make it look as if Prescott had died at 4:45, because I was already at home at that time, with a perfect alibi.
When did you kill Prescott, Mr. Lane?
At exactly 25 minutes after 4.
That gave you a perfect alibi, all right. The only trouble is it gave everybody else one, too. Okay, Annie, call up Logan.
Back in the 1920s, the average grocery carried only a few hundred items. Today, big food markets sell literally thousands of different products, different grades and different brands. If it weren't for glass containers, marketing would indeed be a very perplexing problem. But thanks to transparent glass, marketing is not only simple and easy, but it's also fascinating. For glass lets you see exactly what you buy before you buy it. It lets you decide immediately whether the product is what you want or not. Yes, the colorful array of gleaming glass-packed foods on your market shelves is exciting and stimulating. It makes shopping a pleasure. And when you're in a hurry, when you aren't sure what to buy, what brand, what quality, what size, play safe and buy foods packed in crystal clear sanitary Anchor glass containers, protected by tamper-proof Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
Well, you see, Ethelbert, it was a perfect alibi.
I don't see how it's so perfect if the guy got caught.
Well, he wouldn't have been caught if it hadn't been for our man Casey.
Oh, I don't know about that, Annie. Logan was onto that call sheet long before I was. He had a photostatic copy of it the whole time.
Well, then why didn't he do something with it? If this Lane guy hadn't followed you to the hotel and made that pass in the dark, he'd have been a free man.
Oh, not necessarily. No, Logan was playing the whole thing cozy, letting it pass for suicide and keeping an eye on all the suspects all the time.
Well, if I ever commit a murder, I'm not going to make it fancy.
Oh, why not?
Well, you see what happened to this Lane guy. He should have known you can't commit a murder and make it look like suicide.
Why?
Because any man that commits a murder is committing suicide at the same time.
Crime Photographer, starring Stott Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass. Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation. A great name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Deep. Tonight's episode was written by Robert Sloan. The original music was by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Leslie Woods as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. If you are a young woman between the ages of 18 and 35, here's a way in which you can serve yourself and your nation. America needs student nurses to study for a high-paid professional career. Ask your local hospital for complete information. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, the world's largest makers of household glass. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hiya, Casey, Miss Williams.
Hello, Ethelbert. How are you?
Look at this, a picture of my sister's kid. My married sister, of course.
Say, he sure is growing up, Ethelbert.
Oh, here comes Tony. Why don't you show it to him?
Say, a fine-looking boy, Ethelbert.
Yeah, and you know what? Already he can say Uncle Ethelbert.
Uncle Ethelbert?
Yeah.
Well. But you know, the day I'll be excited is when he learns to say the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation is a great name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of the great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, The Mysterious Lodger. About 10 o'clock. In a private office at police headquarters, a telephone rings. A big man in civilian clothes reaches for its receiver and...
Homicide Bureau, Captain Logan speaking.
Is this the place to report a murder?
It is, lady.
I think I got one for you.
Who's this speaking?
I'm Maggie Myers. To be really proper, I'm Mrs. John Rodney Myers. I'm a widow.
What's the address?
1139 Midland Street.
1139 Midland?
That's right. It's my lodger, a lady who rooms with me who's been killed, I think.
What makes you think that...
Well, you get out here and look through the keyhole of the door like I just did, and you'll see.
We'll be there right away, Mrs. Myers.
I'll be waiting for you. Goodbye.
Sergeant Flanagan.
Yes, Captain.
Tell the tech squad and the doc to follow us to 1139 Midland Street. You go with me.
Yes, sir.
What happened at 1139 Midland Street, huh?
Casey.
Hi, pal.
So what are you two doing here?
Well, don't we usually drop in to inquire what's happening in the murder department?
And it seems we picked just the right time today.
Okay, Miss Williams. You and that lug with the camera follow my car. Come on.
Logan's car stopped in front of that little cottage, Casey.
Mm-hmm. I'll park right behind him. Hey, this is a crummy neighborhood, Annie.
Yeah.
We're not going to get any front page stuff here.
Look. The little old woman just came out of that door.
Are you Mrs. Myers?
That's me, Maggie Myers. Mrs. John Rodney Myers.
Well, I'm Captain Logan, and this is Sergeant Flanagan.
How to do?
Pleased to meet you. And come in.
Remember, we're in this party, too, Logan.
Who's this fellow with the picture pot?
Just a press photographer, Mrs. Myers. Pay no attention to him.
Oh, you're here to take pictures of me with your brownie, young man?
My brat? Definitely, Mrs. Myers. Yes?
Oh, come in, young man, and make yourself to home. You and your lady friend both. Oh, and be sure and wipe your feet on the mat.
Thank you.
Now, where's this lodger of yours whom you think
In
is...
the front bedroom, just off my parlor here. There.
The door's locked.
It's the only room I rent out. The only room I got to rent, matter of fact.
Sergeant, take a squint through this keyhole. See if you see what I'm seeing.
There's only 4 rooms in this place. Parlor, kitchen, and front and back bedroom.
There's a dame lying on the floor in there, Captain, and I'd say she'd been stabbed.
I used to have a nice big house when my husband was alive. 6 rooms and bath.
We'll break in the door.
Hey, who'll pay for that door?
We can't think of that now, lady. Together, Flanagan.
Yep. One push is all a door like that needs.
Hey, this dame on the floor is stone cold. She's been dead for hours.
Look at this knife in her back, Captain. Pushed into the hilt.
Hold it, everybody. Got it,
Casey.
thanks. Thank you.
You know you can't take pictures until I say so. Now, all of you keep out of this room. I don't want you stepping on possible evidence.
Why, Captain, none of us have come inside that room. You know we know better than that.
When I'm watching you.
Poor Miss Patrick. Poor Miss Patrick.
Is that the dead woman's name, Mrs. Myers?
Yes, Alice Patrick. At least that's what she told me. Such a nice, quiet woman she was. And she paid her rent so regular.
I'll want to hear all you know about her very soon. She's a big gal, about 45. Only a husky guy could have driven that knife so deeply into her back. That was done with one clean stroke, Sarge.
Yeah, it took muscle to do that, Captain.
Got any idea who was in this room with your lodger last night, Mrs. Myers?
No, I haven't, young man. Miss Patrick come home alone about 8 o'clock last night and said good evening, and then she went into her room, and I heard her lock the door.
When did you find that she'd been killed?
Well, when it got near 10 o'clock this morning, and her door was still shut, I begun to get a little worried.
Why?
'Cause I did, that's why.
Go on, please.
Well, finally I called to her, and she didn't answer. Then I did what any woman would do and look through the keyhole. After that, I run out the corner store where there's a phone and called you.
This door wasn't only locked on the inside with a key, Logan. It was fastened with a bolt.
I told you not to come in here, Casey.
I'm only poking my head around the door frame, Logan.
The killer never left this room by the door, Captain.
That's pretty obvious, Miss Williams. He used that window.
Oh, he couldn't have done that, Captain. That window's locked.
Mrs. Myers, it's open 2 inches from the bottom.
I say it's locked. I know my own house. Try it.
Okay. Say, it is locked in this position.
Locked from the inside by them spring bolts in the frame. Miss Patrick always left it like that at night. Open enough to get fresh air, but not open enough so even a cat could get in. Somebody stabbed Miss Patrick in a room they couldn't get out of. But how?
It's very simple.
Oh, it is, huh?
Mm-hmm. Can I come into the room, pal? I'll watch my step.
No, come on.
Oh, thanks. Now, look. This is an old-fashioned type of window without counterweights. To raise or lower the sash, you pull out 2 spring catches on the side.
Yeah?
Well, the round spring bolts in the sash snap into holes in the casing and lock when they hit those holes, which can be prevented. Probably to delay discovery of the body, the killer wanted to leave the window as he found it, open about 2 inches. So he ran a pair of thin strips or something, maybe cardboard, between the sash and the casement. Climbed outside, lowered the window, pulled out his strips, and let the spring locks shoot into place.
It could have been done that way easy, Captain.
I can see that myself now.
Casey, you've just ruined a nice mystery.
But who could have been strong enough to drive that dagger into Miss Patrick's back?
Step back into your parlor, Mrs. Myers. I want you to tell me all you know about Miss Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant, that sounds like the tech squad outside.
Oh, listen to all the claxons.
Yeah. Let him in and have him give that room the works.
Yes, sir.
Now, Mrs. Myers, how long have you known Miss Patrick?
Only 2 months, sir, since she rented my room. She was a very mysterious woman.
Mysterious?
Mysterious, Captain. Mysterious.
Now, to sum up what you've been saying, Mrs. Myers, this woman, Alice Patrick, answered an advertisement you put in the paper.
Yes, sir. It said, refined lady has pleasant furnished room to rent and own home.
That's beside the point.
I decided to take a lodger, Captain. Not so much because I needed the money, though I could use it, of course, as because I get kind of lonesome. And I figured having another woman in the house...
We've gone over that. The point, Mrs. Myers, is that this woman never told you anything about herself.
That's why I say she was mysterious, Captain. Most women do tell things. Women like to talk.
I see that.
And another thing, she never went out of the house without leaving her suitcase locked.
How did you discover that?
How do you suppose I discovered it?
Sergeant Flanagan. Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Bring that suitcase here if the tech man are finished with it.
Okay, Captain. I was just coming out for you. The doctor'd like to have you in there for a minute.
All right. Excuse me, Mrs. Myers. I'll be right back, Casey.
Say, Mrs. Myers, whose picture is this on the wall? This beautiful woman.
Believe it or not, Mr. Casey, that was me 50 years ago.
You know, I figured it was.
Honest?
Yeah.
Now I'm all wrinkled and shrunk up.
Oh, no, indeed. Your face still has the nice lines of the girls in this picture.
Oh, you're just kidding. But it's nice of you to do it.
Oh, really? I'm not kidding.
My husband, John, used to say pretty things like that. John's been dead now for 14 years.
Tell us about yourself and your husband, Mrs. Myers.
Well, I probably don't look like much to you now, but John and me was once somebody's.
Oh? Who?
You never heard of Maggie Garland?
Well, no, I...
Oh, of course you didn't. Maggie Garland was my stage name back in your grandfather's days.
You were an actress, eh?
Dramatic soubrette. I wasn't a very good one, I guess, but I looked real good in tights. My husband was a real soap nobody, though.
What'd he do?
John Rodney Myers was educated. He wrote a book.
A book? Yeah?
About historical things. There's the book he wrote on my table.
May I look at it?
Yes, but handle it careful. It's old and not very strong, like me.
Well, I'll be careful.
Let me see, Casey. Arms and armor of the Middle Ages.
Oh, he was an authority on such things. Colleges and museums used to ask for his opinion. He knew all about battle axes and swords, and newspapers and magazines used to mention his name, and Mine, too. You might mention that when you write your piece, young woman.
I will, Mrs. Myers.
It's very interesting.
Oh, here's that dratted captain back again.
Mrs. Myers, don't you know of any big or very strong people who are associated with Miss Patrick?
Well, I don't know if you'd call my next-door neighbor associated with her, but I know he's been bothering her.
How was he bothering her?
Well, Sam Mulvey will bother anything that wears skirts, especially when he's drunk.
The guy's a wolf, huh?
Sam Mulvey's what I call a masher. It made Lena Glasheimer mad as all get out when Sam took a shine to Miss Patrick.
Mm-hmm. What was Lena Glasheimer mad about?
She was jealous. She wants to marry Sam Mulvey.
You're finally telling me something that may help my investigation.
Have you looked into a suitcase yet?
No, but I've got it here. Also the key. My man found it in the dead woman's purse.
Let's open it up.
Yeah, I am.
Only a few papers in there.
We'll see what they're... Casey.
Hey, I've seen papers like that one before.
It's a parolee's discharge from Avon Prison.
The name of Alice Patrick Ives.
Alice Ives?
Say, she's the dame who
Oh, I
murdered that...
know.
The parole board let her out last fall after she'd served 20 years of a life sentence.
What are you saying? Miss Patrick, my lodger, was a murderess?
I bet she was. She carved up a guy named Clem Shirley. He was a big-time rum runner back in Prohibition days, Mrs. Myers.
And now she's been killed with a knife.
Oh, Casey, this is finally beginning to look like front page.
I'll say it is. We can resurrect the whole story of the Shirley murder, Alice Ives' trial, her 20 years in prison, everything.
I never would have dreamed. Now I can imagine why she was afraid of that man.
Man?
What man?
The mysterious man.
Oh, Mrs. Myers.
Lady, will you please talk straight?
She told me if this man ever came to the house, I was to say she didn't live here. She described him to me. And one day he did come. I seen him watching the house. And when I told her, she like to die of fright.
Now you tell me about this.
Well, you didn't ask me about the mysterious man before.
Oh.
Of course, now, I figure he was a detective who was watching him.
Mrs. Myers, let me figure it.
Hold it, pal. Wait a minute. Mrs. Myers, will you describe the mysterious man to us?
Of course I will, boy. He was a big, gray-haired fellow with a little black mustache. Oh, and a long scar on his left cheek.
A scar?
Well, she's described Pete Shirley.
The brother of the rat that Alice Ives killed.
He's paid that dame off for knifing his brother.
Oh, Casey, this will be a story. And you'll be in it, too, Mrs. Myers, as the star witness.
Put on your hat and coat, Mrs. Myers. We're going to headquarters where you can look at Pete Shirley's picture. And if you identify him, this case will be all washed up.
That's a picture of the man I saw, Captain. The man Miss Patrick was afraid of.
Sergeant Flanagan, get out a pickup order on Scarface Pete Shirley. Have him brought in here and quick.
Yes, sir. Boys, we've got Pete Shirley, Captain.
Swell, Sergeant.
Hey, that's quick work, Flanagan.
Any trouble about it?
Now, bring him in here.
I don't think you'll like him in your private office the way he is, Captain.
What do you mean?
Pete is shot up pretty bad. He's dead.
Dead?
Dead. He got killed trying to pull a hold-up last night, Captain. And he was pulling that hold-up over in Woodsfield at the very time Alice Ives was being stabbed here.
You're sure?
The boys just brought him into the morgue, sir.
There goes my case against Pete Shirley.
And my beautifully corny story about a brother's revenge.
The death of Mrs. Myers' lodger is becoming a mystery after all.
A few nights ago, I had dinner with a friend whose wife is one of the best cooks I know. And I asked her if she used Fire King oven glass. Well, she said she did, and then she continued, "You know, Tony, I find the most important thing about Fire King oven glass is that it practically ensures results because it bakes foods quickly, evenly, and all the way through." Well, then I asked, "Well, tell me, how about the fact that Fire King oven glass saves so much time in the kitchen?" She said, "Well, that's mighty important, too. Why, Fire King oven glass cuts my dishwashing time by a full 2/3 because I use the same casserole or baking dish to bake and serve foods and to store leftovers." Well, that just about sums up the story of Fire King oven glass in the opinion of one of the best cooks in the world. But here are some other facts to remember. Each piece of Fire King oven glass is guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Each piece is incredibly low in price, and you'll find a wide selection at your favorite chain, variety, hardware, or department store. Fire King Oven Glass is a product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
No, mister, we already got one of those drinking pelicans back at the bar now, and I don't want any more. I'm sorry, try me again sometime. I always hate to turn them salesmen down, Casey. But as my sister Edna says, quote, them as buys everything from everybody pretty soon ain't able to buy nothing from nobody.
Unquote.
Yeah. Besides, my neck gets tired watching the darn thing. Now, what was we talking about before that guy come in?
I wasn't talking about anything, Ethelbert. I was sitting here quietly trying to dope out the fifth race.
Drinking pelicans.
What, in the fifth?
Oh, now I remembered that old Mrs. Myers, the star witness in that Alice Patrick Ives murder. She's quite a character, according to the stories you've been writing, Miss Williams.
She is quite a character, Ethelbert. The poor little thing, she's been terribly lonely. All this excitement, her picture in the paper, cops around the place, neighbors dropping in to hear her talk. You know it's given her a new lease on life.
You know, she's a cute old gal. You talk your ear off, she gets the chance, but you can't help but like her.
Sounds like my sister. You know, Casey, she talks all the time.
Yeah. She's the one that's not married.
Yeah. Say, what's new on the murder of that Alice Patrick Ives dame?
Ethelbert, you read the Express, don't you?
Oh, I mean inside stuff.
Oh. Not a thing, Ethelbert. The only case Logan had blew up when it was proven that Pete Shirley couldn't have done the job.
Well, how about that neighbor, the big guy who tried to make a play for the dead gal? Before she was dead, I mean.
Sam Mulvey?
Yeah.
Well, Logan's still suspicious of him, but Mulvey didn't have sufficient motive for my dough.
He's notorious in the neighborhood for a nasty temper, Casey, and he's a heavy drinker. Also, he's more than strong enough to have driven a knife through that woman's body.
Yeah. I wonder why the handle of that knife was roughened at the end.
Roughened?
Yeah. Like somebody had run a coarse file across it.
Well, it wasn't a new knife. It's probably been kicked around in a workshop or somebody's kitchen.
I guess so.
No luck in tracing the knife, huh?
Nah, not a bit.
The Ives dame was in prison a long time. Don't you figure she might have made an enemy there who bumped her off?
Well, Logan's checking on that theory, pal. You know, that window being locked 2 inches from the bottom, that bothers me.
Well, now, why?
Well, why should the killer take the time to do that? Nobody was likely to notice whether that window was closed or open. And after the killer made his getaway, it didn't matter. There was no darn reason for that window. Hey, there's always a reason for everything. Excuse me, Annie. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
I'm going to take a walk and think.
Come in, Mr. Casey. I'm delighted to see you.
Thanks, Mrs. Myers.
And be sure and wipe your feet on the mat.
Yes, I remember.
Come in the parlor and sit, if you don't mind the muss. Some of my neighbors was in, and they wanted to hear firsthand about poor Miss Patrick. They just left, and I ain't had time to clear up the tea things we used. Oh, can I give you a cup of tea?
Tea? Oh, no, thank you. No,
It won't take but a minute.
Tea just isn't my dish.
I'll make you coffee.
I can get along without coffee, too.
Oh, young fella, I haven't got anything else.
Mrs. Myers, I came here for a talk, not a drink.
Oh, that's fine. I like to talk.
Yeah. You'd like to have people want to talk to you,
Oh, I
too,
guess
huh?
everybody wants that.
Yes, especially persons who were once somebody, as you were.
Oh, I was never much. Just an actress without much talent, but my husband was really the somebody.
Yeah, indeed he was. I stopped at the public library this afternoon and looked over his book, Arms and Armor of the Middle Ages.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. I'm afraid it was a little over my head,
It
though.
was interesting, don't you think?
Yes, it gave me an idea.
I guess it gave you one, too.
What? I don't know what you mean.
You killed Alice Patrick Ives.
Of course, you're joking.
No. No, Mrs. Myers.
Young man, I weigh just 91 pounds in my heaviest coat and winter galoshes. Are you saying I drove a knife completely through that big woman?
Uh-huh. And you did it from outside of her locked window.
How could I do that?
With one of the medieval weapons your husband wrote about, the kind he says could throw an arrow or a spear or a knife with accuracy, silence, and great force. The window was open 2 inches. The knife was shot through that opening. You figured you were creating really a great mystery, huh? A woman stabbed in the back in a completely locked room. That appeal to the dramatic instinct an actress never loses.
You're pretty smart, young man. You know, I never figured that window could be shut and locked from the outside the way you said. You kind of spoiled the mystery.
You admit you killed Miss Patrick?
Oh, of course I don't. I'm just talking. It's nice to talk, even on a crazy subject. Why, in your opinion, did I kill that woman?
Well, I guess in order to get attention. The attention you've been without for years.
Oh, I have been very lonesome. I've wanted folks to notice me again, but do you think that's a good enough motive for what you say I've done?
Well, it wouldn't have been for you if you hadn't learned your mysterious lodger was a freed murderess. After you found that out, probably by getting into the locked suitcase and seeing her parole papers, you considered her life of no value at all.
She was a bad woman. I went to the library and got old newspapers and read up about her case.
And that's how you found out about Scarface Pete Shirley, the brother of the guy she killed.
I even come across some pictures of him.
He never came here looking for Miss Patrick, as you said.
No, but that seemed a good story to tell the cops.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're ready now to tell the true story to the cops, Mrs. Myers, huh?
There ain't been much in the papers about me during the last couple of days. And next week there wouldn't be anything, maybe. And folks would stop calling on me and I'd be alone again. By me telling the cops, I won't be forgotten so quick. And you'll put more pictures of me in the paper, son?
Yes, indeed.
We'll go down to headquarters right now. Darn good idea you've given me, young fella. I'll get my coat.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
What do you mean? That I've given you a good idea?
You understand English, don't you?
Say, look here, wait a minute. Am I wrong about this? Did you kill that woman?
For all your smartness, you don't know a thing.
I don't...
Well, do you?
No,
I'll get my coat and bonnet.
Say, Mrs. Myers, if you're not really guilty, if you're going to confess to something you didn't do... Hey, wait a minute, you can't do that.
I can't hear you.
I say you can't do that.
Wait till I get back to the parlor. Now, what did you say I couldn't do?
What's that in your hands?
The thing that killed Miss Patrick.
But you got it pointed at me.
That's right. I'm going to let you have it now.
There's nothing I can do to stop you, I guess.
Of course there ain't. Here, take the darn things out of my hands.
What?
It's heavy.
Oh, you're letting me have it.
It's
I
the
see.
evidence you needed. You didn't have none before.
Mrs. Myers,
Fooled you, didn't I?
Yeah, you sure did.
I can fool folks right away. Bet I get you guessing again before we're through.
Surveys show that housewives, almost without exception, prefer to buy foods and other household products packed in glass containers. Their reasons are many and varied, but chief among them are 5 important facts. 1, glass containers have no effect on the taste of the food they contain. 2, glass containers let you see exactly what you buy before you buy it. 3, glass containers are so attractive that condiments can be served on the table in the original container. 4, glass containers are easy to open. And 5, glass containers can be safely resealed to store leftovers. The better brands of foods are again available in clean, sparkling glass containers. Most of them in Anchor glass containers protected by Anchor vacuum caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
What was the gadget Mrs. Myers had that shoots knives, Casey?
It was an old crossbow, Ethelbert.
Crossbow?
That's right.
It's not like the longbows used by Robin Hood and the American Indians.
Well, the principle is the same, but it's different, Annie. See, this gimmick is a short bow set across a hunk of wood that looks like a rifle stock. It was made to shoot short arrows, or bolts, as they were called. The thing is an antique that Mrs. Myers' husband picked up someplace.
I see. Poor old lady. So lonesome she committed murder to get attention. What'll be done with her?
Well, she's in an institution, Ethelbert, where she'll be perfectly happy because attention is something she's sure to get for the rest of her life.
Out of her mind, huh?
Yeah, so the docs say, in the legal definition.
Poor old lady.
Think of the poor doctors and nurses. I wonder what you'll pull on them.
Annie, I wish I was sure of what she's already pulled.
What do you mean?
I'm never going to be sure that she used that crossbow. That she really is a murderess. I'll never be sure that she hasn't played me for a chump to get what she wanted.
The death of the mysterious lodger is still a mystery, maybe?
Ethelbert, I don't think so, but... Oh, nuts. Let's see what's good in the fifth. Give me that thing.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, a great name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Deese. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Leslie Woods as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. The part of Maggie Myers was played by Miss Eva Condon. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. The Red Cross carries on for veterans, for military hospitals, and for all communities in time of disaster. You can help by giving generously now. And this is Tony Marvin saying good night for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, the world's largest maker of household glass. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Hello, Miss Williams. Casey?
Hi, Ethelbert.
Ethelbert, do you know what Casey just wanted to do?
What, Miss Williams?
Well, they just put in a fresh cement sidewalk next door, and Casey wanted to stop and write his name in it. He'll never grow up.
Well, Casey's a great name.
Oh, well, I'll go you one better than that.
Oh, hello, Mr. Marvin.
Sure. What about Anchor Hocking? You know, Anchor Hocking is a great name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole. Our adventure for tonight, The Demon Miner. Morning. A desolate little graveyard. In the distance, beyond the gray tombstones, can be seen the stark outlines of a towering coal breaker and row upon row of coal miners' cottages. Shivering in the cold rain, a small group of men stand bareheaded.
Won't be long now, Eddie.
No, Frank. In a couple of minutes, they'll start shoveling dirt on poor Joe's coffin.
This is the 6th time in just the last 2 months that you and me have come to the graveyard to watch a guy we've worked with put away.
I'm thinking of that, Frank.
I've known plenty of accidents to happen. But when 6 in a row get killed by falling roof rock, one right after another in the same mine level, well, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, especially when you're cutting out coal in that level yourself like we are.
Some of the guys say there's a hoodoo on Bristol level, Eddie.
Old Gus Hatzel says there's worse than that.
I've heard what that guy says, but that old guy's crazy.
You think so, huh?
Huh?
Oh, hello, Gus.
I am just stand close by and hear you talk. So you think I be crazy, Frank? Because I say a demon is kill mans in Bristol level at Stakeville Colliery.
Any guy who says that is crazy.
You do not know what we of old country know.
I was talking to a Welshman the other night, Frank, and he said when he comes from plenty of miners, there's something funny that happens underground. Spirits called knockers and spriggans and demon miners.
Oh, nuts.
He says this demon miner works with a pick about 10 times the size of ours, a pick that makes a big hollow sound. And when guys hear it, it means someone's going to die.
I have heard that pick in Bristol level. Also, I have seen the demon there.
I still say nuts.
It was when Nick Tanofsky got killed. I'm working place next to Nick. All at once I hear big thump, thump, thump. And I hear Nick yell. I run quick for my place to see what happened. And in the tunnel, number 5 tunnel, I see demon. He's dressed like miner, but his face is white.
White?
Yeah. He have big fat cheeks. Not like a man's.
You tell that hooey to somebody else.
All right, you be wise guy. But remember what I tell you. Someday in the mine, you will hear and see the demon miner.
Hand me some more tampon bags, Eddie.
Here, Frank.
I've only got one more charge to fix, and then we'll hook up to the firing box.
You're putting in a lot of powder.
30 sticks. You know, we've got the old croaker working next to us today.
Gus?
Gloomy Gus. He's got 63 place. While you were out getting powder a while ago, he came in here to borrow my pick. Said he busted a handle of his. He's as crazy as a bat. He started right in about the evil spirits again. I guess I made him sore at the cemetery the other day.
He seems to really believe he saw that demon miner.
And he ought to have his eyes examined, or his head.
Hello, guys.
Huh?
Oh, hello, Douglas.
Hello.
I just thought I'd tip you fellas off that the inside foreman's down here again this morning checking up. The big bosses don't like all the accidents that's been happening.
That don't bother me and Eddie.
Oh, I forgot, Frank. You're one of the best boss miners we got here. And, of course, you wouldn't let your little helper Eddie get careless.
Now, look here, Douglas. You're supposed to be an electrician. All your cables and connections are out in the tunnel, not in here. Suppose you attend to them.
Sociable guy, ain't you, Frank?
With people I like.
Okay. So long.
So long, Douglas.
Someday I'm going to poke that guy right in the nose. I'm no hypocrite. And I'd like you better, Eddie, if you had a little more guts, enough to tell him off.
Well,
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, fella.
it's okay. I know I'm kind of a soft.
You're all right. And we'll have a couple of beers when we knock off, on me.
Thanks, Frank.
Well, everything is set here. I'll string these fuse wires to the box outside. Pick up those tools and come on.
Yeah. The inside foreman spends most of his time in Bristol level these days.
The accidents here have got him plenty worried.
Mr. Travers is a nice guy. Too bad he wasn't made superintendent.
And Travers would have made a good super. I guess he was plenty sore when Bill Jerome got the job. Oh, I'm all hooked up, Eddie. Sing out the warning.
Okay.
Here she goes.
That'll kick up a lot of dust.
It'll settle in a minute, and we can start loading the cars.
Oh, just touch one off, Frank?
Hey, yeah, Mr. Travers. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Eddie?
Okay, Mr. Travers.
You fellas seen that electrician Douglas around here?
Just a few minutes ago. He went down tunnel number 5.
Oh, thanks. I want him to do a job.
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah?
You and Eddie are always careful to test roof rock after you blast.
Oh, sure, Mr. Travers.
Okay. I'll see you later.
He's worried, all right.
Yeah, I bet he ain't as worried as that new super is. Jerome is the guy the big bosses hold responsible for production. And that's dropped off plenty on account of them accidents.
Yeah. A lot of guys are superstitious. They won't work in Bristol level anymore.
Croaking old gloomy Gus has had a lot to do with that. Oh, dust should be settled by now. Let's go back.
Okay.
Hand me that safety lantern. Yeah, it burns all right. No gases here.
Coal broke up nice.
Gus has my pick. Get it from him, Eddie. I'll use yours to sound the roof rock while you're gone.
I'll get your pick from Gus.
It's solid here. This is okay. That chunk has to come off. Yeah, everything looks all right now. What was that? Look, what makes that knocking? Hey, who are you coming in here? That white face. Don't!
There's been a 7th peculiar death in that Slateville coal mine, huh, Casey?
Yeah, happened yesterday, Ethelbert. A miner named Frank Adams was killed.
Apparently by a piece of falling roof rock, like the other men before him.
Yeah, and a few minutes ago, City Desk gave Annie and me an assignment to go to Slateville and look around.
Mm-hmm. We're taking an early train tomorrow. Want to come along, Ethelbert?
Who, me? After last week, I've had enough excitement.
Oh, you're a softy.
Well, you write up the story, Miss Williams, in case you'll take pictures, huh?
Oh, no, our assignment's a little bigger than that this time, Ethelbert.
Yeah?
The superintendent of the mine knows Casey, and while the state police have all the facts, he's asked the paper to have Casey do a little private investigating.
You're going to Slateville as detectives, huh?
No. Bill Jerome, the super, knows about a couple of lucky breaks I've had working with the cops. Well, he's got an idea that I don't know. When I'm in the city here, I know my way around. I've got a lot of smart, friendly cops to back me up when I make a play, but, I don't know anything about coal mines.
Afraid you won't do so good when you're on your own, huh?
I think our boyfriend has a case of cold feet, Ethelbert.
Huh? What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Annie. Look, I'll see you for later.
Where are you going?
Well, I'm going to the public library. I'm going to read up on coal mines. Yeah, when I see Bill Jerome tomorrow, I won't be altogether a dope.
Well, Casey, this latest roof rock accident differed from the previous ones in an important particular. Frank Adams lived long enough to mumble a few words.
Yeah? What were they, Bill?
White-face demon miner.
Demon miner. Say anything else?
Nothing that could be distinguished.
This Gus Hapsel you mentioned, he described the demon miner before as having a white face, didn't he?
Yeah, after Nick Tarnowski was killed.
Yes, and this thing was dressed in miner's working clothes and had very fat cheeks.
Yeah.
Well, who was the first to reach this miner, Frank Adams?
Gus Hapsel was. He usually worked next to Adams, but he had gone to borrow a pick. Gus says he heard Adams scream, and he hurried back.
Yeah, was Eddie Bliss the second to reach out?
Yeah. A few seconds later, he and Gus were joined by one of our electricians, a man named Douglas, and George Travers, our inside foreman. Gus claims that after the scream he saw a shadowy figure disappear into a passage off number 5 tunnel. He's sure it was the demon miner.
Where were the other two men?
Douglas and Travers were in number 5 tunnel, too, but at a considerable distance from each other.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to find out what's in back of this, Casey. The demon miner theory's ridiculous, of course, but it's ruined morale, cut production in half. Now that Adams' dying words apparently confirm the demon story, well, we're in for further trouble.
Yeah. Well, just one more question, Bill.
Huh?
Like on previous occasions, was a large piece of roof rock found near the dead man's head?
Yeah. A slab of rock that'd take 3 or 4 big men to lift.
3 or 4?
Yes, Miss Williams. As in the other cases, Adams' hard hat had been crushed and his skull fractured.
What's a hard hat, Mr. Jerome?
Well, it's...
It's the miner's name for the protective helmet he's required to wear, Annie.
Oh.
Yeah. I know a little bit about mines and miners. Library. Well, we'll go down to the mine, Bill, to Bristol level.
Yeah, I'll arrange for it right away. My inside foreman's waiting in the other office. George, come in, please.
Okay, Jerome.
Miss Williams, Mr. Casey, this is Mr. Travis.
How do you do, Mr. Travis?
I don't know you. Nice to know you.
I've told you about these friends of mine, George. They want to get acquainted with Bristol level. I'd like you to be their guide.
Well, all right. Mr. Travis, what's your opinion of these accidents and the demon miner?
Same as mine, Casey. Both are phony.
Why don't you let me speak for myself, Jerome?
What, George?
I never went to college like you, but I grew up around mines. My father was a miner in England. He's told me about strange, unexplainable things that happened there, and... Well, I'm not sure that there aren't demon miners.
What? You're not serious.
You can quote me if you like. Miss Williams, Mr. Casey, I'll get you overalls, hard hats, and lamps.
Oh. Travis is a nice fella, Casey, but he thought he should have had the job I got.
I see. Yes. I want to become better acquainted with Travers. Yeah. Meet Douglas, Eddie Bliss, and old Gus.
Planning interesting, well-balanced menus is hard enough at any time, and during Lent it's doubly difficult. But here's one more occasion when Fire King Oven Glass comes to the rescue. All sorts of delicious, nourishing meals can be planned around a single big Fire King Oven Glass casserole dish. Macaroni and cheese, baked with milk and covered with a magnificent crown of golden cracker crumbs. Old-fashioned New England baked beans with a rich brown molasses sauce. Scalloped oysters, and literally hundreds of other mouth-watering main courses. Fire King Oven Glass is a must in American homes for these 4 all-important reasons. It simplifies the planning of meals. It simplifies housekeeping because it cuts dishwashing time by a full 2/3. It saves the precious vitamins which are boiled out of foods in top of the stove cooking. And its cost, well, it's incredibly low. Ask for Fire King Oven Glass at your favorite chain, variety, hardware, or department store. Each piece is guaranteed for a full 2 years against oven breakage. Beautiful, practical, inexpensive Fire King Oven Glass is a product of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
The place where Frank Adams was killed is only a few hundred feet ahead now, Mr. Casey.
Ooh. Well, we've really been... Golly, I never dreamed that coal mines had telephones in them and electric lights.
The lights aren't very bright.
Well, that's because coal dust settles on them.
Yeah. Well, where's the passage that Gus said this demon miner went into?
Over there. You can see it leading off just ahead.
Oh?
Frank's place is right here.
In that dark hole?
Yes, Miss Williams. You must depend on our cap lights alone when we go in there.
Well, let's go in. Granny, I'll help you. It's kind of rough going.
Okay, thanks.
Now, Frank and his helper had just blasted a face before he was killed. Actually, the coals heaped all over. Jerome gave orders not to let anything be touched. Here we are.
Yeah. Show me where you found the dead guy.
There. You can see the blood stain.
This the slab of rock that's blamed for the death?
Yes.
Must weigh half a ton, Casey.
Yeah, at least.
That you in there, Travers? Yes, who? It's me, Douglas. Oh. Super phoned down for me to meet you here. Where's Eddie Bliss and old Gus? How should I know? They supposed to be here, too? Yeah. This is Miss Williams and Mr. Casey. Bert Douglas.
How do you do, Mr. Douglas?
Look, if you're a cop, Mr. Casey, I might as well tell you right now. I don't know anything about those accidents.
You think they've been accidents, Douglas?
Well, I certainly don't believe in that demon miner stuff.
Maybe you have more sense if you do believe.
Well, here's old gloomy Gus and helper Eddie.
Hello, Mr. Travers. Hello, Douglas. Gus and I just got a message.
Mr. Casey here and Miss Williams want to have a talk with all of you. Eddie Bliss and Gus Hapsel.
How do you do?
All I know about the accident, Mr. Casey, is that poor Frank was lying there with Gus kneeling beside him when I come running in, and that big slab of roof rock.
That hunk of roof rock did not kill Frank Adams. It was the demon miner's peak that bust his head.
Ah, you're nuts, Gus.
Maybe he isn't, Douglas.
Say, Mr. Travers, you don't think...
I'm keeping an open mind. What now this got here? What'd you just pick up out of that coal, Mr. Casey?
Nothing at all.
Casey?
It was something. You just stuck it in your pocket.
I see you,
Never mind, we'll talk about it later. Well, now, there's no reason for me to keep you from your work. You can go ahead.
Go after we just got here?
Yeah, Douglas. Yes. I want to talk to all of you again about an hour from now.
Okay. Going down number 5, Eddie?
Yes, Douglas.
Come on. This is screwy. Taking that guy off his job and...
You want to talk with me later, huh?
Yes, Gus.
All right. I go back to work.
Mr. Casey, I don't quite understand.
Look, I'd like to examine this place with Miss Williams alone, Mr. Travers, if you don't mind.
Well, you want me to go, too?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Only outside in the tunnel for a few minutes. I'll call you when I'm through here.
All right, I'll wait for your call.
What's this all about, Casey?
Annie, I want one of those 4 guys to get very nervous.
All of them seemed very nervous when they left just now. Yeah. What was it you picked up out of the coal?
Here, take a look.
A black powder puff.
It's just an ordinary powder puff covered with coal dust, Annie, and underneath the coal dust, when I ruffle it up
it's
like
full
this...
of white powder.
Get it, Annie? The white face of the demon miner.
The man covered his coal-grimed face with white powder.
Sure.
And
then after he made his kill, all he had to do was to rub some coal dust on his face over the powder, and he could reappear almost instantly in his normal character.
Listen, all of those 7 men have been murdered then.
I think so, Annie.
But how? Nobody could lift the huge rocks that crushed their skulls.
Annie, look. Couldn't the killer have bashed his victims with a hunk of rock that he could handle, and then have dragged the bodies over near another piece too big to handle, just to make things look like they weren't?
Oh, but why were the murders committed? And who done it?
I don't know yet. Look, I'm going to call Travers back and leave you here with him. With the excuse that I want to explore some of those side passages alone, which I do. After that, I'm going to make whoever dropped that powder puff a very nervous guy.
Oh, so you're back, Mr. Casey.
Yes, sorry, Travers. I had to keep you and Miss Williams waiting over an
the
hour.
time passed very quickly, Casey.
Huh?
Mr. Travers here has been furthering my education about coal mines.
That's good. Mr. Travers, I'm going to throw a question at you. If the recent deaths here were really murders, whom would you suspect of committing them?
I think the man you should investigate is Douglas.
Huh? Why?
Well, he's always got a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't like anybody. Nobody likes him.
Have you got anything real on Douglas?
No.
Okay, well, look, would you bring him in here, and old Gus and Eddie Bliss? I'd like to talk to all of you together.
All right, I'll be back with him just as soon as possible.
Annie, these boys seem to be playing a game, you know that? Each one trying to throw suspicion on the other.
Did you learn anything worthwhile from the others?
No. The killer knows he lost that powder puff, and he suspects that I found it from this pile of coal. So he's afraid, see? He's going to try to get it back, and to bump off the only 2 people who know about it.
You don't mean us?
Yeah, who else? Annie, switch off your cap light.
Oh, now, why?
Look, I want you to stay here in this corner in total darkness. I'll be at the other end of this little working where I can be seen.
Ooh.
Don't worry. I'll be set for trouble, Annie. Go ahead, turn the light off.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but...
Now we wait.
All right. Hey, you know, Casey, I've been thinking about that powder puff. It can account for the dead white face of the demon miner, but it doesn't explain the puffy cheeks and all that. Casey.
What?
That powder puff you found was mine.
What? Yours?
Of course I had one of that size in a pocket of these overalls before we came down here, and now it's gone.
Annie, Look, this means the whole idea's cockeyed. Why didn't you tell
me?
me?
I didn't know it was gone till now. It never occurred to me to look until I just... Casey, do you hear that knocking?
I sure do.
That is the sound of a giant pick.
Annie, you stay here.
Don't leave me, Casey. It's coming closer. Oh, Casey, that's Dave. Listen, that thing isn't human. It is a demon. And look out, it's going to kill you.
Oh, it's not.
Casey!
I'm okay, Annie. You only broke my cap light.
Yeah, but I can't see.
Annie, he's broken away from me. Turn on your light so I can see.
Just a minute, I can't find the switch. Oh, there, I have it now.
Where is he?
Well, the thing seems to be going.
Wait a minute. He ran back into the tunnel, Annie. I'm going after him.
Don't leave me.
You stay there.
Oh, gee. All right.
I didn't run into the tunnel. I was behind this pile of coal.
Don't you come any closer to me. Keep away. Don't.
Now no one will find us. Oh. Did the lady faint? Or did my fingers press too tight on her throat? We'll switch on a tap light so we can see.
What?
The lady's afraid when she sees my face.
Where have you brought me?
To an old working of the mine that's boarded up. No one but me knows that the boards can be moved like a door. I fixed them that way.
You're a man. You're not anything supernatural.
Look at me. These big cheeks, just wide mouths. Your friend Casey was trying to trap me, but he won't trap me. And to pay him for his meddling, you are going to die.
No.
Yes, after you're dead, he'll feel the pick in his skull. Only it's not a pick I use. It's a heavy rock. Like this. Don't, please, don't.
He won't. It's okay, kid. I got our demon miner right on the button. I spotted this place when I was snooping around a while ago.
Casey, you know you got here just in time.
Seems I did. Yeah, that rat's coming through. Let's have a look at it. Well,
let me go.
Casey, it's Eddie Bliss.
Yeah, meek little Eddie.
Yes. Me. Little Eddie. The guy without gun. That's what some always told me. 30 years I worked in mines as a helper. They wanted to keep me just a shoveler of coal. A helper. I've shown them what I can do now. Little bosses like Frank Adams and big bosses like the Super. I made guys afraid to work here. Yes. I've killed. I'm the boss now. I'm the boss now.
Casey, they never sent him to the jail.
No, it's a squirrel's nest for Eddie.
There are still a few things I don't understand about this.
Well, I can explain them to you, kid, after I get a camera. I've got to take some pictures of this demon miner.
You know, I was brought up on a farm, and we used to figure we were pretty lucky, particularly when we thought of the people who lived in the cities. Why, all year round we enjoyed fresh food. Fish from the lake below our farmhouse, caught through the ice in the wintertime, and fresh vegetables from the vegetable cellar, magnificent hams and sausages during the slaughtering time after Christmas. Well, now that I've become a city man myself, I find that there's no longer any need to envy the people back on the farm. Crystal clear, sanitary anchor glass containers bring you all the products of orchard, field, and stream packed at the very peak of perfection 12 months a year. And then, too, glass lets you see exactly what you buy before you buy it. Glass containers preserve their contents perfectly with no effect on taste or flavor. They're easy and safe to open, and can be resealed to protect the unused portions. Anchor glass containers and easy-to-remove Anchor vacuum caps, so widely used for the packaging of foods of all kinds, are products of Anchor Hocking. A great name in glass.
I can see why heavy powder accounts for the guy having a white face in that dirty mine, Casey. But how did he make his cheeks so wide?
Well, that was simple, Ethelbert. He used an old kid trick, stuffed a couple of walnuts in his mouth.
Which, of course, bulged out his cheeks, widened his mouth, and distorted his voice. But when Casey hit him...
There, he coughed him out.
There's one more thing. The sound of that giant pick you heard.
Well, Eddie made that sound by bumping a rock drill against the wall. Boy, did we have luck in busting that case, Ethelbert. You know, Annie, since it was your powder puff that I found in that coal, I can't understand why Eddie made that risky attempt to kill us. He had no reason to believe that we had any evidence. And we didn't have. Boy, I'm a hot detective, all right. Everything that I did was based on that powder puff, you know?
Casey. I have a confession to make.
What's that?
I found my powder puff in my coat pocket. I didn't even take it in the mine.
You didn't?
Nope.
Ethelbert, what's this stuff I hear about a small timer called Sherlock Holmes?
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, a great name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz and features Miss Leslie Woods as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Eddie was played by Ted Osborne. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. The Red Cross carries on for veterans, for military hospitals, and for all communities in time of disaster. You can help by giving generously now. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, the world's largest maker of household glass. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.